Okay, we're going to get started. We're calling to order the Recreation and Parks Commission and the Sacramento County Fish and Game Commission meeting right now. Thank you all for coming. I've been asked to inform you that if you have any request to speak slips, that you bring them down to the clerk over here so that none get lost. So we want to make sure that everybody that's interested in speaking is able to speak, and they're going to be helping us sort out the speaker slips. And we'd like to start the meeting with a roll call. Here.
Bill Hambrick.
Here.
Here.
Dan Gonzalez.
Here.
And we're all learning to use our microphones, so good job, guys. Okay, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Dan, would you be willing to lead us? Okay, I know we have a lot of public here. Is there any public comment that is on a non-agendized item? Do we have one that was submitted? Okay, Bill's going to
Yes,
call.
we have one public comment. Joe Ellis. He's told me it's off agenda.
So Joe Ellis, please come to the front, or the microphones. And we're going to do 2 minutes of public comments today.
Evening, guys. My name is Joe Ellis. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much. I am a resident of Sacramento, 47 years. I was born and raised in Carmichael. Spent a lot of time on the river trail and the American River Parkway. 2 years ago, I was guiding a river up in Coloma and had a cardiac arrest and was saved because of an AED. AED is an automatic external defibrillator, restarts the heart, and I was in a county park up there, a county park that has recently purchased a few of the enclosures that I'm talking about. The only reason I had an AED is because I had it myself. I was in the park. There was a building up in the park that housed an AED, but it was locked and closed, and I didn't have any means to get it. So I was very fortunate to have my own. I've since found a place that sells an enclosure that allows for public access to it. So what this enclosure is an all-weather enclosure, has a code on it. You call 911, 911 gives you a combination to get in it. Just to give you a couple facts about cardiac arrests, more than 20% of cardiac arrests occur in public settings. There's over 365,000 cardiac arrests annually outside of a hospital. Survival rates increase 2 to 3 times with early defibrillation, which comes from the AEDs, and an average 911 call can take up to 7 minutes. That's the nationwide average when we're talking about the parkway or we're talking about our county parks. I already have talked to one gentleman who had tonight that actually gave me a story that took over an hour for somebody to get to the incident that he was around. And so these things speak to the necessity of it. I had mine in under 3 minutes, and I'm here today. They say if you can get it on somebody within 1 to 2 minutes, that you actually up your survival rate of 90%. And so these are very important. I know a lot of our rangers carry them. I've seen them in the cars. I know a lot of sheriffs carry them. But what we don't have is we don't have them accessible to us. Make me the first responder. I shouldn't have to wait for somebody. And golf courses, I know we have golf courses in Sac County. I know there's a lot of us out here that enjoy a beverage after we play golf. A lot of times those pro shops close. So these are a great way to have them on the outside of buildings. I'm asking that we look into possibly doing this within Sac County. I do have some paperwork I could leave. I don't know if that's available for you guys to look at. My phone number's there. I would love to speak more. And
Thank you.
I do have to say with the people here, I've spent a lot of time in Sailor Bar, and I'm going to give my really brief story, and that's I grew up a fisherman.
Okay, wait, thank you. I'm going to keep the time limit strict today because we have so many people. I really appreciate you coming out. It's not an agendized item, so we can't take action on it. But I think it's a compelling point, and I would be very interested in someday seeing an action item on that come to this commission, to the option to bring those. So thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you, I appreciate you guys' time.
Does anybody else have any comments? Okay, thank you so much. Are there any more public comments on non-agendized items? Okay, we're going to move on to our presentation. Is it on a non-agendized item? Okay, Bill's going to call you up.
I'm not sure which item it's for. I have Alexandria, who said item 1 or 5, but that's the only.
Jody King,
Okay.
and I couldn't find where it said speaker item at the desk, and it took a while to get through security. Can you just let me speak?
I have your item. It didn't have a number on it. Okay.
It's only 4. Thank you. This to go up on there? Oh, here? Oh, this way. All right. Okay. I want to call attention to this org chart here, to everybody in the room. This is parks here, somewhere right around here. And this is our elected officials here. This is us, the residents. May we, the people, be heard, acknowledged, and understood. May we, the people, prevail.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments on non-agendized items? Okay, I'm going to move on to our presentations. Our first presentation is the American River Parkway Foundation's annual report.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Diana Pagetto, and I am the Executive Director of the American River Parkway Foundation. I have been the Executive Director of the Foundation since 2008. I do have a presentation. Were you able to put it up, or? Nope. Perfect.
Give me just 1 second. I'll bring it up.
Everyone has Is this mic on too? I don't know. That's too short for me, believe it or not. So we're going to start, because really the American River Parkway Foundation, we rely on volunteers to do the work out on the parkway. So we're going to go through the programs that we actually function out on the parkway and the number of volunteers. So last year we had 5,514 volunteers out on the parkway for a total of 16,340 hours. That's a huge savings, not only to the county, but also to the community for having greater access to certain areas within the parkway. And I double-sided this, you guys, so I'm sorry. I was saving paper. The Parkway is probably most well known for its cleanups, and that's what the Parkway Foundation has been doing really since 1983 when we started as an organization. So what we're really happy to see is that the amount of trash that the Parkway Foundation is actually cleaning up on the Parkway is reduced, because for anyone that frequents the Parkway, the goal would be to have zero trash picked up. And I think maintenance, who is here, would agree with that as well. I know you guys have Forensic Clean and others, but so last year in 2023, we picked up over 100,000 pounds. In 2024, we only picked up 44,000 pounds. That is a great thing, because then volunteers can spend time doing other projects that are not necessarily picking up trash or being stuck by needles, et cetera, which has happened, as we all know. The other program, which the invasive plant removal program, most of you are probably saying, why do invasive plants matter? And what is the purpose of removing them? But most people know what yellow star thistle is. Unfortunately, that's not always on our list of invasive plants, but red suspania, which is very crucial to fish habitat along the water's edge, as well as the brooms. Our program, we have an MOU with the county, so we are maintaining their agreement with state parks. It is a 25-year agreement, and we actually have almost 4.5 years left, but no one is counting. But we are working with Casey and Zach and really looking at how does the invasive plant program on the Parkway change? How does it evolve? As stinkwort has come in, there's new plants that are always coming in. How do we really address those plants to really ensure that the restoration of the Parkway and beautification of the Parkway remains? But last year, we have volunteers that go out and pull plants. They pull weeds. It is not a glorious thing. A lot of them carry a weed wrench, which can weigh anywhere from 5 to 15 pounds to pull out the brooms. So we removed 112,293 invasive plants along the Parkway. Some of those could be pods of red suspania, and if we get the pods before they start sprouting, that actually cuts down on that work. So we are looking forward to what's coming up this year and the next 4 years, and our goal is to continue to grow our invasive plant patrol. We have 20 active members, and these are gentlemen and females that actually go out. We have a map that they actually plot where they're pulling plants, the number of plants they're pulling. We determine the acreage. So there's a lot of work that goes into it, and these are really, really committed individuals, and so we applaud them for everything they're doing to remove the invasive plants on the Parkway. One of the programs that we started with the rewrite of the Parkway Plan in 2008 was trail maintenance, because at that time it was allowed that others could go on the trails besides equestrians, so runners, walkers, and we received funding from Sacramento Running Association to help maintain the trails. So all the carcinite signs that you see out on those trails, the foundation actually pays for and puts in. All the stickers, and let me tell you, those stickers are not cheap, that the cyclists sometimes peel off, those are replaced constantly by our volunteers and by our staff. The trails, the equestrian multi-purpose trails actually span 30 miles on the Parkway because they're not equal to the 23 miles of the actual paved trail. So we have cleared 12.2 miles in 2024. Clearing means cutting back to the 6 or 8 feet, depending on how wide it is, removing brush, ensuring that we're not taking any native plants down that should not be taken down, whether it's an elderberry. And so that it is a grueling process. It is something that you can have 3 to 5 volunteers at a time, whether they're using a brush mower, a weed whacker, or loppers. The equestrian patrol that it has an MOU with the county is to be doing top heavy, so when they're on their horse, they are to be trimming those taller branches, because a lot of our volunteers are not sitting on top of a horse clearing those. So the tribute tables, tribute benches, that is something, if you look out on the Parkway, there's many, many more concrete tables. And that is because we were given the go-ahead to replace some of those wood tables that are there that are rotting, that have been used for nefarious reasons. And so last year we actually put 8 new concrete tables. So individuals purchased those as a gift, as in a memory, and they were very strict, and the county approves what can be placed on those tables. There can't be any dates placed because this is a park. It's a public park that we want people to come to, and we don't want it to resemble any type of cemetery. So those tables are placed, and regional parks maintenance staff is great because those tables weigh, they're not light, so when they are placed in, and regional park staff maintenance place the tables in, and they go on a concrete pad or on a very, very heavy dirt. So we've already got 6 on order for this year. So hopefully, we're focusing on certain parks to really make sure all those tables in are concrete. And they last for an average of 15 years, so it's a good investment for someone. Probably the program that I would say the foundation is most proud of is our Riverbend Outdoor Education site. So for anyone that's ever been out there, so this is the 10-acre site that Sacramento County Regional Parks actually purchased in 2008. At that time, the foundation partnered with District Rotary 5180 and all the Rotary districts, and we actually rehabbed the entire facility. So now there's an amphitheater, it's wheelchair accessible. We removed a lot of the open pits that were there because of fire danger, and the best part is that we partnered with Sacramento County Office of Education to provide outdoor education, and that education is provided to Title I schools, and within Sacramento County, 68% of all schools are Title I. And for those that don't know what a Title I school is, that is a low-income school, English is second language learners. So for most of these children, they've never been out to the Parkway, so this is their first opportunity to go out to the Parkway. So the Parkway Foundation raises about $100,000 a year in order for these kids to come out, and that is the way they're able to come out. Sacramento County Office of Education provides all of the education, so there are 4 teachers out there. There's a maximum of 66 children at a time, and they get to come out to Riverbend Park, out to the Riverbend site. So it is exciting. The big thing that we would love to see, we've only been working on it for 4 years, are the addition of the bathrooms. We've already raised the money to place bathrooms out there, and once the bathrooms are placed out there, schools would be able to do overnights. But as I said, we are on year 4 of the permit process, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Casey, that this year will be the year that we can actually put the bathrooms in. So, and it's a great community partnership of being able to put those bathrooms in. So, fingers crossed. Yeah. In 2021, the American River Parkway Foundation created a Fire Safe Council. And this Fire Safe Council was approved through the state of California. It is through the foundation's 501c3. In 2023, the foundation funded the creation of the Community Wildfire Protection Plan just for the American River Parkway. We hired a company called Deer Creek Resources who does a lot of this work from numerous counties throughout California. The goal is this year to have the CWPP formally approved by the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. Then once it's approved by the Board of Supervisors, it'll then be approved by both Sacramento Metro Fire, Sacramento City Fire, and then CAL FIRE. And once it is approved by CAL FIRE, then we will be able to go after state money and federal money in order to curtail wildfires on the Parkway. Okay. I don't know if something was going on. Our new program is Parkway Connect. And this program is really important, at least in the foundation's eyes, because here again, we are bringing individuals out to the Parkway to experience what the American River Parkway is who have never been out here. So we are working with 9 different nonprofits within the Sacramento region, and they are bringing their families out to experience, whether it's a fly fishing adventure. And so we just did one with Sisters Ania, and it was a father and daughter fly fishing. And we had Hooked on Fishing, Not on Violence come out and perform or teach them how to fly fish. We're doing some archery. We're doing nature walks. We've got the Sacramento Library coming out to do a book reading with kids. So it's really great. So we're looking at adding, this year we have 14 different events planned up and down the entire Parkway. So we want families to come out and experience the Parkway and what you can do at the Parkway. And then the Tykert Parkway Fund, the American River Parkway Foundation is the custodian of the Tykert Parkway Fund. This came out of a development agreement with Sacramento County that started in 2010 and was officially signed in 2018. So all the mining companies within Sacramento County give funding to different organizations. The way we set it up is that the money comes into the foundation and then we distribute it through grant funds. So we have a competitive grant process. And so far we have funded Soilborne Farm, Sacramento County Office of Education, the Archery Range, Sacramento Running Association, and Triangle Properties. And our RFP will be going out at the end of March for the 2025 year, and we look to fund another $100,000 this year. And that is my quick presentation for tonight. Does anyone have any questions?
Now it should work. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate the foundation and all the work they do for preserving and encouraging recreation on the parkway. Bringing these kids out to the education site has got to be so. I get chills thinking about it because these kids don't get out there to play in the mud and toss rocks and do the things that they do. And getting the invasive species off the property, we've all been stuck by those star thistles and everything else. It really helps the parkway. So obviously the foundation's been doing that for a long time. One question, you've collected something like 50% less trash last year than you have in previous years. What caused that? I mean, why is there so much less trash now than there was back then?
I think it's multiple reasons. I mean, we all know that back in 22, 23, the number of homeless that were living on the parkway was a very high number. I know the county also has Forensic Clean. There are a number of other organizations that are out picking up trash. And so that's where we're saying if there's multiple people, I mean, there's still trash out there. I don't want people to think that it's completely gone. We're still doing cleanups. But I think, what is out there is not as large and heavy as it was. I mean, I think all of you have taken part in a Northgate cleanup before, and you know what the weight is and what we pick up there. And if the mattresses and the soiled blankets aren't there, that also lowers the poundage.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. You haven't lived until you've carried a hide-a-bed out from under some brush out to a place where the park maintenance can pick it up. So
Or
anyway.
a honey pot.
Yeah, or a honey pot. I didn't want to go there. Thank you, Diana.
Good evening. The Fire Safe Council, I just want to congratulate the Parkway Foundation and all the partners on the work there. A couple of years ago, this was a very big concern. I remember going to the meeting at the Sacramento Association of Realtors with the video and the whole thing. In your view, what's been working? Is it the coordination? Is it the goats? Is it the SR 51 construction, move people out of that location? What's really been working? It seems substantially better.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is we haven't been experiencing drought years. I mean, so there's been wet grass. And that's not to say there haven't been small fires, and I think the rangers can attest to that. But the highway construction has definitely moved, because when you think about where the majority of the fires were from 19 to 22, they were from really mile 3 to mile 7. The majority of them were in that Cal Expo area. So a lot of those individuals have moved out. So that is one thing. The wet years have also helped. Because, I mean, the wet years it's a shorter lifespan for the fires, and the number of homeless the number of homeless is not as great living on the parkway.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for presenting to us. I'm really excited to see the Pathways Connect project take off. That's excellent, that the increase in volume of events and that program as a whole. So thank you for pursuing that and making that a success. What are Triangle Properties, one of your grant?
Triangle Properties does restoration, and so they're going to be doing some restoration, some with our invasive plant program.
Okay, so they're doing it actually on the parkway then as well?
Everything. So any money that is distributed through the Tykert Parkway Fund has to go on to the parkway.
Okay. And I'm also happy to see your support for the Soil-Borne Farms project. What they're doing out there in the next couple of years is excellent. So I'm happy to see that also. Thank you for all the great work that you do and for presenting to us. It's nice you have it. You present to us every year. It's nice that you have an audience this time. It's kind of fun.
That is true. Usually it's just me in the room and you guys. So.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Me again. Okay, and our next presentation is early notification proposed woodland improvement.
Chair, we do have one person request to speak on
I'm
agenda
sorry.
1 or 5. It was Alexandria Hubacher. I don't know if she wants to speak on 1.
You're waiting for number 5?
Then we have no
All
public
right.
comment.
Then I didn't do it wrong. I could just read your mind. All right, we're going to move on to number 2. Come on back up. Go ahead.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. I'm Casey Sorgan, Senior Planner with Regional Parks. Tonight, I am providing a briefing on our Wood Lake improvement projects that we have been working on. The goal of this presentation is to get feedback on the proposed projects in the Wood Lake area. Specifically to get information about potential impacts from the proposed projects to neighbors or parkway users. So we're here gathering input. We're in the design phase of the planning project. Let's see. We began planning this in late 2022 for several different improvement projects in the Wood Lake area. To facilitate the planning effort, we started referring to these various projects. What do you want me to do? Oh. Okay, great, thanks. So we started referring to these as 3 phases based on the order of funding that we received, 2 of which are grant funded. So the Cal Expo Crossing is phase 1. And it's a restoration project and also provides a crossing connection, a bridge between Cal Expo and Wood Lake. This is being funded partially by a Wildlife Conservation Board grant that was issued in 2022. The location is on the east side of Wood Lake, right there. The Wood Lake Gateway project is phase 2 on the west side, and it is being it's being funded actually in total from the state's budget as part of the Lower American River Parkway Public Access Funds. This was one of Mayor McCarty's successes during his term as an assembly member. And then our 3rd phase is actually back at phase 2, and it is a realignment of the Jedediah Smith Memorial Bike Trail. That has not been funded yet. Okay, next. Okay, so the goal of phase 1 is to reconnect the maintenance road and trail system between Wood Lake and Cal Expo and enhance habitat in and adjacent to the stormwater slough. Specifically, the project proposal includes constructing a bridge, expanding and enhancing woodland, and wetland and grassland habitat, and realigning the maintenance road and horse trail. The photo shows the focus area of phase 1, which is taken from the northeastern portion of Wood Lake, looking towards the southwestern portion at downtown. We can flip. The bridge would be located along the northern portion of the stormwater channel that runs from north to south. This location was chosen as it would avoid and minimize a number of sensitive resources that were identified along the channel during surveys. An enhancement and expansion of the woodland in the green area accounts for approximately 12 acres. The expanded wetland area, which is shown in blue, is approximately 2.5 acres, and it would be graded and planted to support wetland and riparian species. The spoils from grading would be spread across the upland area, which is kind of shown in a light yellow. The benefit to spreading these soils in the adjacent area are twofold. One, it will help smother noxious weeds in the area, specifically yellow star thistle, and it will help alleviate some of the concerns that have been identified by tribes where you inadvertently discard soil if you take it off site, so they prefer it on site. Construction of the bridge and wetland does cause the need to realign existing maintenance road and trail system, and this will require an area plan map amendment to the American River Parkway Plan. This figure shows the alignment of the horse trail and the maintenance roads as they are now in the American River Parkway Plan. I have the next page, which shows the realignment that we're proposing based on the restoration that's being proposed. So the horse trail would head north across the bridge and then go down around the swale area of the new wetland. The maintenance road would also dip down to the bottom side of the restoration area. Okay, next. Okay. Phase 2, the project goal is to enhance public access and amenities within the lower reach of the parkway. Specifically, we are proposing to construct an entrance road from the end of North Gate Boulevard, a parking lot, a car-top boat launch, a restroom, and a trail connection. The photo on this slide is oriented towards the northeast, looking towards Cal Expo. The project area is to the east of Highway 160 at the bottom of the photo and west of the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail. Okay. The entrance road and parking area is aligned along an existing access road. It's shown in black. The parking area terminates near the boat launch and would provide ADA parking and access on the boat launch ramp, shown as blue on this image. To construct this ramp, grading to the lower elevation would be required and is shown in green. On either side of the parking area and boat ramp, there would be a 3-to-1 slope. It is likely that some amount of riprap will be needed, but we are prioritizing utilizing biotechnical alternatives, such as a dense thicket willow. Also, riparian species would be planted along the shoreline and along the graded area to provide on-site mitigation for the impacts the project would have. A restroom would be constructed adjacent to the main parking lot, is shown in this blue right there. And also a bike trail would connect to the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail, a little access connection. The only change that would be needed on the Wood Lake area plan map would be to show the new restroom and trail connection, since the boat launch and parking are already indicated on the Parkway plan map. Phase 3 is the realignment of the Jedediah Smith Memorial Trail and is being proposed specifically to reduce unsafe 90-degree turns and to reduce maintenance associated with erosion along the trail in close proximity to the stormwater channel. The problem area specifically for erosion is right here where it turns. The proposed realignment would cross the proposed bridge associated with Phase 1 and would skirt along the southern area of the Phase 1 woodland and wetland enhancement area. The Phase 1 woodland planting plan would leave enough space to construct the trail with a narrow band of plantings along the south side of the proposed Phase 3 trail alignment in order to provide shade. Okay, for the overall Wood Lake area, the improvements associated with Phase 1, 2, and 3 would necessitate an amendment to the Wood Lake area plan map to show the new restroom facility and realign maintenance roads, trails, and new restroom. The existing and proposed facilities and the land use categories are shown on these maps. This is the existing area plan map, and this is the proposed changes. Specifically, we would realign the horse trail, the maintenance trail along here, as well as along this section to protect sensitive resources that have been identified. So our next steps will be to finalize CEQA review and bring it to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration and approval of the project, as well as approval of an area plan map amendment. Following that, when we have completed our designs 100% designs, we'll bring them back to you guys, to the Rec and Park Commission, and ask for your consideration to endorse a consistency determination and approve the contract drawings. And now I'm happy to take questions.
Casey, would you mind returning us to the slide that shows the new alignment? Back one more. One more. I apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. There. Thank you. That'll do it. Thank you so much. So the bridge that's proposed, if all of this is approved, would connect both the Jedediah Smith Trail, the paved trail, and would allow folks who use the off-path cycling project in this area to jump over that channel and connect to the other piece. Because there was a bridge or a crossing that was closer to the river that washed out a few years ago. It cut off the connection to the off-paved path cycling project. But my understanding is this bridge would solve for that and kind of complete the loop so you could connect to the other segment. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So the steps are going to be that we are approving a change to the Parkway plan because the restrooms you said are outside of the scope of the plan? Or
The area plan map for the Parkway plan does not identify the restroom at this location, so the Board of Supervisors would have to approve that amendment, but before we do that, I'm sorry, we will do that first, and then we'll come back with the construction plans for your approval.
So we're just reviewing it in concept, not to change the plan. Okay.
Right, so we're here seeking feedback so that we can incorporate it into the design process.
So personally, it looks like it's good for the location and it's good for the users. So I think that's excellent solution to improve the environment and improve the recreation accessibility and usability. Really, great work. Do you need us to take a motion, or are you just looking for feedback?
We're here for feedback.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else have feedback? I've got nothing to add. All right. I give you positive feedback.
All right, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I forgot I have to ask for public comment. I know we don't usually have any audience, but thank you. Is there any public comment on this item?
Is the bridge going to be for cars?
Oh, the way public comment works is that you would do a speaker form and turn it in. So has anyone turned in a speaker form for this comment?
Chair, I do not have any for item number 2.
Okay. And just to clarify, it does sound like it's going to be an equestrian and bicycle, and and the maintenance is the only car vehicle trail there, right?
Yes, it will support emergency vehicles to
Exactly.
provide access
Okay.
for fire vehicles as well.
Excellent, thank you. One moment, I lost my papers. There we go. All right, the next presentation we have is the early notification and conceptual approval of the 2025 Sailor Bar ADA concept plan.
Thank you. Good evening, Recreation and Park Commission and members of the public. Liz Bellis, Director of Regional Parks. I wish to thank everyone for attending this meeting. I am providing your presentation on the 2025 ADA concept plan for Sailor Bar. I wish to let everyone know that written public comments that were received prior to the agenda being published on Friday, February 21st, were compiled and included with this agenda item as public comment set 1. Any comments that were received after That date and up to the start of this meeting will be compiled for the record and published as public comment set 2. We are requesting feedback and input, as well as conceptual approval during closing remarks of the commission members for this concept. In other words, does the Recreation and Park Commission approve of this concept as of an ADA trail? This is in the very early stages of the project process, where the department is providing early notification to Parkway stakeholders and neighbors, as well as requesting input from a variety of groups, including the American River Parkway Advisory Committee, the Recreation and Park Commission, the county's Disability Advisory Committee, County Department of Transportation, Sacramento County Senior and Adult Services, and other organizations who serve members of the disabled community. The department has budgeted $209,513 to address specific accessibility needs within Sailor Bar, as listed in the Sailor Bar ADA Accessibility Review Report 2019, which was attachment 1 to this report. This work includes repairs to the restroom, some ADA parking spaces, and required path of travel from the restroom. This initial concept plan was developed by the licensed architect who serves as the manager for the county's ADA transition plan in coordination with regional park staff. He has years of experience in the development of public projects throughout California, including several within Sacramento, El Dorado, and Placer counties. The American River Parkway Plan specifically addresses accessibility both in the Sailor Bar Area Plan and in overall policies. The Sailor Bar Area Plan mentions the development of trails for persons with disabilities, specifically in the narrative for Sailor Bar. And the overall policies in the Parkway Plan state that designated entryways for accessible trails shall be installed at several locations throughout the parkway. It is an overarching goal of the department to make the Sacramento County Regional Park System as accessible as possible, including identifying areas which already meet this standard, ensuring all facilities which were included in the Sally Swanson ADA report are addressed, building accessible features into new park development, and exploring alternative means to provide accessibility such as adaptive equipment. This overall ADA concept plan includes addressing the required ADA parking stalls at the following parking lots. And these are all listed on this map here: Olive Access North, Olive Access South, Illinois Avenue Access, Sailor Bar Boat Access, Sailor Bar Fishing Access Lot, Turtle Pond Access, and River West Access. And I'm going to grab some water. Just one second. Additionally, it proposed moving the memorial flagpole at the Olive Access to the Olive Avenue Access parking north. This current memorial has stairs which are non-compliant and frankly can be dangerous. The concept plan has 3 trail components. Trail 1, a new trail from the Turtle Pond Access parking connecting to Turtle Pond. The existing trail, which is not ADA compliant, would be returned to natural vegetation. Trail 2, so this Trail 1 is this one right here. Trail 2 is this one right here. And Trail 3 is this little loop. Trail 2 is modified. This is an existing trail which follows alongside the northern shoreline of the American River. This trail would be converted to an accessible trail which connects the Sailor Bar fishing access to the River West access parking. Modifications include the elimination of excessive cross slopes and running slopes and surfacing with ADA compliant material. Trail 3 is a new accessible loop trail. The department is also proposing to utilize a product called Right Here, which is designed to meet the needs of the blind and low vision visitors by providing audio descriptions of the trail and facility, as well as directional safety interpretive signs. This service allows for the translation into several different languages, does not require Wi-Fi nor electricity, and is accessible through a free app for cell phones for both Android and iOS users. A summary of this product is included as attachment 3. We are currently installing this product at the Cosumnes River Preserve, and we'll have the opportunity to test it out prior to implementation at Sailor Bar or other areas of the American River Parkway. Following the meetings with different organizations and advisory bodies, revised conceptual plans will be developed to assist with future grant applications, as this concept plan is not funded. When funding is secured, the plan will proceed to engineering and design and will include opportunities for additional public input. As per the American River Parkway Plan, final construction drawings will be presented to the Recreation and Park Commission for approval, accompanied by an American River Parkway consistency determination. Regional Parks will not approve or implement the project until CEQA review is completed and all required permits are obtained. Many of the public comments received at the Disability Advisory Committee and the American River Parkway Advisory Committee center around Gravel Road A, which is this red dotted line right here. Gravel Road A is subject of a separate receive and file written report, which will be heard later tonight. Some of the main concerns that were raised: use of the Gravel Road A for equestrians. Attachment 5 of this report is a higher definition map from the American River Parkway Plan, which depicts the area of Sailor Bar. It shows the alignment of the approved equestrian hiking trail in brown, as well as the approved equestrian staging areas, which are little brown horse icons. The majority of Gravel Road A is not a part of the approved equestrian hiking trail. However, the equestrian hiking trail does run adjacent to some of the other existing gravel roads, which will remain closed to vehicular traffic. Increased fire danger. Comments were received expressing the concern of increased fire danger to the homes along the bluffs of Sailor Bar. We have included the final draft of the American River Parkway Community Wildfire Protection Plan, which Diana referenced in her presentation, which is an action plan for increasing wildfire resilience of the American River Parkway and surrounding communities. This plan defines and prioritizes actions that will limit the damage associated with the wildfire and establishes a series of resiliency improvements. The plan includes 7 projects related to Sailor Bar, 6 of which are listed as moderate priority and include continued grazing, the continuing of grazing at existing grazing units. The 7th project, a new grazing area, is listed as high priority. The new grazing area will provide for episodic grazing to raise canopy base height. All grazing areas, including this new area, are included in the 2025 grazing plan for Sailor Bar, which is included as attachment 7 to this report. Our 2025 fire fuel reduction work at Sailor Bar has recently begun with park staff and members of the State Conservation Corps. Dust. A commenter has stated that dust from the gravel road is a public health hazard due to the possible presence of mercury and asbestos. Attachments 8 and 9 of this report are reports from the State Department of Conservation and the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, respectively, which addresses these concerns. The 2006 report from the State Department of Conservation, which addresses the likelihood of naturally occurring asbestos in the eastern portion of Sacramento County, indicates that the eastern Sacramento County is an area least likely to contain naturally occurring asbestos. The report of the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation was prepared to evaluate the Sacramento waterform gravel augmentation projects, which have been taking place along several areas of the American River Parkway, including Sailor Bar. This report relied on soil and water sampling at Mississippi Bar and Sailor Bar to determine the concentration of metals within the dredging tailings that were used as source material for the gravel augmentation projects. Materials from 10 test pits at each of the locations were collected for testing. From the conclusion of this report, The study first emphasized mercury due to the assumption that all dredge tailings had come in contact with mercury during the gold recovery process. It is now believed that this assumption is false, in part due to the results of this study. It also noted that Site 21 at the east of Sailor Bar had high concentrations of all metals, except antimony, which was a non-detect at all sites. The project geologist reported that this is likely due to the presence of Meriton, and if I butchered that name, I'm sorry, formation material in this pit. Meriton formation gravels consist of mafic volcanics, and as such, would have a higher metal content than the surrounding granitic gravels. Additionally, Regional Parks has consulted with Dr. Roland Brady, a licensed consulting geologist, who reviewed these reports and others. In summary, Dr. Brady stated that he sees no geological reason that asbestos would be released by reopening Gravel Road A, nor a reason to suspect potential mercury contamination from fugitive dust. He also noted that cases examined in the 2011 World Bank report quantifying the impacts of vehicle-generated dust, a comprehensive approach, highlighted the long-term exposure to road dust, and Dr. Brady concluded that it is unlikely that the dust generated by reopening Road A would pose significant risk to the casual user, or that the risk would be greater than any other dirt road of similar length. At the Disability Advisory Committee, in addition to the department's presentation of this ADA concept plan, the Friends of Sailor Bar presented an alternative accessible trail concept. This alternative plan, as well as the motion approved by the Disability Advisory Committee, are included as part of Attachment 10, Public Comment, Set 1. Regional Parks has also sought out and received feedback from persons with lived experience, both in using wheelchairs as well as having family members who use wheelchairs. The input received will be incorporated into future iterations of this concept plan and include comments on the trail surface to be used, the need for shade elements, either natural or man-made, and rest areas. At the Disability Advisory Committee, we also received feedback that the accessible parking areas should consider the need for larger spaces for those who utilize paratransit. At this time, I conclude my presentation and open it for questions of the commission.
I just want to clarify before we move forward, the gravel road is part of this plan conceptually, or it's completely in item number 5?
The gravel road is an existing condition and thus is shown on this concept plan.
So the supporting the concept would be supporting the existing condition of that.
Supporting the concept of the ADA concept is supporting the idea of pursuing an ADA trail at Sailor Bar.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions?
So conceptually, we're looking at a drawing of what the these 3 trails would be.
Correct.
And you haven't identified the base of what the trail is, whether it'll support a wheelchair type of a mobility device, sight, I don't know all the disabilities it might manage, but you're still investigating all those types of things?
So as far as surface materials, those have not been identified. The idea would be that the trail would allow for wheelchair access. And also we are trying to incorporate other accessibility components, such as the Right Here concept and others that would address other disabilities.
So I went out and I took a walk along Trail 2. It's gorgeous out there. It's beautiful. And I think that the giving access to people would be wonderful for them to get out there and see different parts. Right now, it appears to me that they're kind of over by the boat launching ramp, and which is not a very pretty place to be. And I think this would be a really good plan to put that out there. I didn't go out to the Turtle Pond. I know kind of what it looks like, so I didn't see where that was, and I like the idea of that loop as well. It looks like it would allow somebody to go a little bit further out there if they wanted to see more of the park. So I think that's great to get more people out into the park to use it. And is there any fishing access for people? Just a thought.
So that is something that we would love to hear input on, how we could develop a greater accessible fishing access. We have one at Mather Regional Park. We had one at William Pond that since needs some improvement to make it better.
Yeah, that'd be great. Anyway, I love the concept. I like the idea. And I just want to see more people out there using this park. So carry on.
Thank you. Any other comments or feedback from the commission members? At this point, then, I would ask that the chairperson open up public comment for this item. Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that and open up public comment. You're going to have a 2-minute limit because there's so many people. I'm going to hold you strictly to that limit. So please be respectful of everybody's time. Bill's going to call up the names. Do you want to call a few at a time so people can get ready, or how do you want to handle that?
I can go ahead and call who you have up, and then I can queue up the next person. And
okay.
Some people have marked down that they want to speak on items 3 and 5.
Okay.
So we'll call them for 3, and then
we'll
we'll
call
go
them
into the
again for
pile with
5.
the speakers for 5.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Are you ready? All right. First speaker is Elizabeth Landsman Smith, and number 2 will be Warren Truitt.
Hello, everyone. I was going to speak for about Road A specifically. Sailor Bar is an area now. It used to be all, roads where people could drive, but since 2008 or 2009, it was closed to motorized traffic, and the community has since adopted a new use for it. There's pedestrians, there's runners, there's bicyclists, there's all sorts of people out there on those roads using them as trails. They are trails now. So when you talk about removing Road A, what you're talking about is taking away a trail from the people that are already using it as a trail, and that's what they are now. I use these trails. I do a giant loop from the Olive Avenue entrance, and I go all the way around and use that road to come back down and go back to Olive Avenue. And if you open that up to motorist traffic, I won't be able to use it anymore. I mean, one of the reasons I use it one of the reasons I go down there is to get away from traffic. If I wanted to be someplace where there was traffic, I would be I would just be walking around my own neighborhood. But I'm running out of time here. But anyway, one of the reasons given is that these are plans that the department has, but good government means when there's an issue, plans can change, and I think you ought to really consider the alternatives that have been proposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
After Warren Truitt, you'll have Alexis Rauchfuss. I'm not sure on the handwriting, but that'll be the next person after Warren.
Commissioners, I'm Warren Truitt. I'm president of Save New York American River Association, or affectionately known as SARA. SARA was founded in 1961. The specific purpose at the time was to create the parkway by rallying the community to vote for a bond issue that came up. I think it was 72 that the final issue came up, and it passed by I've heard anywhere from 70 to 74%. So the community wanted the parkway, and Sarah has participated in every plan of the parkway plan for ever since the first one, and the last one being in 2008. In that bond issue, it was $12.5 million, and they purchased 4,000 acres of the parkway plus Elk Grove Park and Gibson Ranch, which are each about 350 acres each. Sarah is very concerned about the recent focus of regional parks in several reasons, and I'll get to the specific one in a moment. But it seems that it's becoming a monetizing, urbanizing situation with parks, which when it was originally created, and as I said, Sarah was there from the beginning, it was meant to be, they call it naturalized, but it's the nature that's there is incredible. There's like over 2,000 deer between Sacramento River and Folsom Lake. There's the bird population, I understand, has increased since the roads have been closed at Sailor Bar by 30%. It's a delight for anybody that likes to go out and watch nature. So Sarah is especially concerned about the Sailor Bar issue from the standpoint of the users. And the group Preserve Sailor Bar, they have done an incredible job of getting the word out about the concerns there. They have had all the different groups, handicapped people, meaning including blind, mobility issues, and deaf folks out there, and the Audubon Society, the fishing groups have all said they do not want the roads open, and Parks is wanting the roads to be open, and this is for the group that we're saying don't want the roads open.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, 1 second. We had a request to put the trail map back up on the document viewer, if that's okay.
It looks like the next speaker has a document that they'd like to put up, though. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let's put the trail map up, and then if you have anything, you can place it on top of the trail map. Would that be an acceptable way to proceed?
Or I can swap it back.
You can
and
swap
forth.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
for this particular speaker, let's have their, and then we'll put it back. Great. Thanks.
And then Jennifer Hemman will be after Alexis.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Alexis Rauchfus. I'm president of the American River Parkway Volunteer Equestrian Trail Patrol. Just a couple thoughts. When you have cars and horses, you need to slow down to about 10 miles per hour. The distance between a horse and a car needs to be at least 6.5 feet. And in consideration of that, I took some measurements while I was at Sailor Bar. So the total width of one section of the thoroughfare, the trails that she's talking about opening up to roads, is approximately 24 feet width. And if you take into account the total width of a horse and rider or a horse-drawn wagon, it's 7.2 feet. Add that to the recommended minimum distance between the horse and the car, that's 6.5 feet. You add that to the total width of a motor vehicle, including mirrors, that's approximately 10.1 feet. The escape area distance needed for a horse is about 20 feet. So all told, that's 44 feet. And 24 feet is not enough for a safe area for the horses. The other thing that I would like to bring up is that there are a series of cables along the pathways. Most of them are difficult to see. They're gray, silver, flexible. They're about a half-inch cable, about 0 to 2 feet tall. Most of them are hanging that way. That's not high enough. It needs to be at least chest high, at least 3 feet, 5 inches for a 14.3 hand horse. So you could get serious horse injuries, leg entanglements, and serious injuries or death to the horse and rider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to put anything up here? Or is you okay?
Liz, may I have your map in case mine doesn't come up well? Do you have the map of the, is it here? Okay, great. Okay. I'm going to start by using my not very professional map here just to show, and I will compare it to the one that was shown earlier. Hi, my name is Jennifer Hemman, and I just want to speak to you about some of the reasons why we feel this is an entirely, from a financial and environmental analysis perspective, with all due respect, it's entirely unsupported by the public, by the Sacramento Disability Advisory Committee, and it runs counter to the intent of the American River Parkway Plan. Additionally, it's being presented as contingent on only one alternative, which runs counter to CEQA. And that alternative is allowing public car use on the gravel alignments that are in protected areas and adjacent to protected areas. It seems that the opening of the interior to Sailor Bar to cars is the main goal here, with no regard for the communities, including the disabled communities, who are united against it. This is not a divided, this is a united frontier. I want to show one thing as a runner for a long time in this park, that when you put cars on this alignment, which I can also show you here, when you put cars on this alignment, you've severed any way to access Turtle Pond to the river. There's no way to get from one point to the other. Go and walk it, go and run it, you cannot get there. So you have severed all foot access without cars, all equestrian access without cars. Your only other option is to go along the paved road where cars routinely go 35. There are many speeding incidents on that road. So you cannot get from A to B. That makes no sense. The disabled community relies on this road to walk and use their wheelchairs, yes, and a man 85 years old with 2 canes. He relies on this road to make a loop, to go around. When you sever access from point A to point B, that makes no sense. The current use right now is a trail. Putting cars on this puts everyone at danger, and it severs the ability to go from this point to this point. Irregardless of the fact that or that's not even a real word, there's no gate here to keep people from going to where the active rookery nest is. So with all due respect, this is unprotected. This severs use from A to B, and there is no other alternative alignment to do that. You can go out there and walk it yourself, and you will see. So the ADA plan right now is a pipe dream. The feasibility of that from an environmental perspective to provide access along the cliff with railings, with the grading, with the heavy equipment. There are mature oaks, there's active rookeries. There's no way it's feasible from a financial or environmental perspective to build that. What they're going to be left with is an open parking lot, loss of the loop, and cars. Thank you.
All right, I had 2 for Robert Snyder, so we'll call him just once. And then the next after this, for item 5, or he had 2 with both 3 and 5 written on both of them. So we'll call him for 3 if he chooses. And then Cheryl Cataba, I think is the last name. That'll be the next speaker after that.
Yeah, I'll defer till number 5.
Cheryl Cataba is next. And then after that, Tom Biglione.
Hi, thank you for having us. I just want to speak from the heart, okay? And all I'm going to say, every person in here loves Sailor Bar. We love it with all of our hearts. It's our refuge. It's our way to ground ourselves in this crazy world. And if you don't think it's a crazy world, I don't know where you are. Opening up the concept plan that you have presented, Ms. Bellis, in many ways, it's a wonderful plan. We all want disabled people to be out there. Absolutely. That is not the issue here. But the issue is opening our roads. There's got to be another way to do it. I walked that road today, and I was in tears because I thought, this is going away. This is going away. I think the decision's been made. I feel like we are just here to show us what's in our hearts. So thank you for listening.
Good evening. I'm Tom Biglione, the G silent like in lasagna. I have to keep reminding folks. I'm here tonight to remind you about something else. The Parkway was created for the people of Sacramento, but that's one perspective. Another perspective is it was created to retain and preserve habitat for wildlife so close to us here in the city that we could still appreciate and enjoy. There are two perspectives to this. In fact, there are many perspectives to it. And I'd like to say that no one here, I'm sure, wants to do anything, or everyone here would like to do something to improve access to the Parkway to all individuals, regardless of their mobility or other abilities. But what I'm speaking about is the continued intrusion of automobiles in the Parkway. We drive our automobiles to get to the Parkway. I live in Midtown, and I like to go to Sailor Bar. Typically, I'm going there to canoe, but I also walk and bird there. And of course, it's a long ride. It's a long distance. I'm going to drive. But automobiles bring with them noise. Not just the noise from the automobile, but the noise from the people on the radios in the car. We've got parking areas in Sailor Bar now. Let's use them, because the wildlife and the birds are driven out by noise. And if you go visit the more active areas where automobiles and radios and boom boxes are, you'll find out that birds don't like them. The bird count is much lower in the high-use areas. All we're asking is limit the automobiles to the existing areas, leave the trails open for the quiet and the peace that we all go there for, including the birds. Thank you.
Next speaker is Bruce Foreman, and then after that I have Robin, maybe Kalsberg, but it just said Sailor Bar, so I don't know if they want 3 or 5 or both 3 and 5.
Good evening. I and Friends of Sailor Bar are strongly in favor of improving accessibility at Sailor Bar. The trail I proposed to County Parks in May offers high-quality, accessible recreation without a need for a road opening. This former road has become a trail and well-utilized. For some, it's the only hiking access at Sailor Bar. Having worked on 3 accessible trails for the Department of Fish and Wildlife, I have various concerns about the county's trail plan. Number 1, public safety. It is far too dangerous crossing Illinois Avenue. I kayak there a lot, plus hike much, and see speed, lots. A semi-blind road dip at the exact crossing, heavy road shoulders most of the day, road shadows most of the day, and not any road shoulder at the trailhead. Wheelchairs are low, so this is a lethal recipe. Did the trail designer not see this dangerous spot? Second is resource protection. It's lacking. The long river bluff presents threats to salmon via deep trench social paths to the river that typically happens everywhere there's a parking lot along the parkway. This cumulative erosion suffocates eggs, salmon eggs. There's prime spawning beds here. Number 1 in the whole river, this area here. The trail cuts right by a heron rookery. Hikers can cause nest colony abandonment. I know, I worked on research on herons. Did their designer not see this rookery? And their trail brings visitors right by the Maidu grinding rocks. This exposure as a lure increases risk to these important rocks, let alone creates erosion into salmon nests and accidents from steep tumbles, which I've seen. Third is recreational quality. The quality of the bird and salmon viewing is far less at the county parks lookout, far less. I've been there many times than my proposal's vista. I've been there tens and tens of times in the fall, hundreds of more birds, hundreds more salmon leaping, and a most favorite spot for the eagle. It's just a 6-minute walk from the plan, on my plan. Those who can't do it, they have easy river access at a scenic boat ramp, lagoon. I think it's very scenic. A lot of people I know down there think it's very scenic. Next is habitat diversity, habitat and scenic diversity. It's poor in the plan. Visitors like this and seek it out, this diversity. They like loops too. My trail loops on a gravel road to a meadow, then returns to the Illinois lot. the spring floral display, and the hawks foraging delight hikers.
Okay, thank you.
Did their designer not see these flowers?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. I didn't catch the last commenter's name. I apologize.
Just the last person here?
Yeah, the gentleman who just spoke. I apologize.
Bruce Foreman.
Oh.
Bruce Foreman?
Thank you.
Yeah, Bruce Foreman. And then, okay, so you do want to speak on three and 5, or just?
Just 3.
Just 3, okay. And then after Robin will be Paul Miller.
Hello, my name is Robin Cowsbeek. I'm a resident of Fair Oaks, a local businessman, a father, a board member of Family Free Ride, and a frequent user of Sailor Bar. I'm also a cyclist and advocate for cycling infrastructure. Most people hate me, actually, because I am a cyclist. Drivers, pedestrians, people on horses, I've probably butt heads with many people in this room today on different issues. I've listened to a wide range of opinions from the public and various user groups who value Sailor Bar, and I believe it's clear there is a strong, unified opposition to reopening these roads. In my experience, I have rarely seen such a widespread agreement across so many different communities and interests, and I'm here just to call attention to and reiterate these various groups. The Disability Advisory Committee has proposed a plan, and it's clear they do not want vehicular access on the maintenance roads. Instead, they seek infrastructure that allows them to enjoy Sailor Bar without needing a car. Granite Bay Flycasters. This group has raised concerns not only about fishing access, but also about the potential harm to fish habitats in the federally designated wild and scenic river. Friends of Sailor Bar. This group represents a broad spectrum of park users, hikers, birders, horseback riders, dog walkers, families. All of them are opposed to opening the maintenance roads to vehicles. Their collective voice speaks volumes. I want to add one more voice to the choir. As a board member of Family Free Ride, a nonprofit dedicated to getting more kids on bikes, I can speak to how Sailor Bar serves as one of the few safe places for children and families to ride their bikes. Reopening the roads would place children and families at risk, destroying a vital resource in our community. I urge you to consider how rare it is for the public, representing such a broad spectrum of backgrounds and interests, to come together in agreement. This is a unified call from your constituents. Keep the roads closed. Please listen to us and prioritize the preservation of Sailor Bar as a wilderness space free from the intrusion of cars. Thank you.
After Paul Miller, we'll have Alan Friedman.
I got to raise myself. Okay. Yeah, I can reach over there. Is that good? We're good. Yeah, good. Good evening, Commission members. My name is Paul Miller. I am the president of the Sacramento Audubon Society and the chair of the Accessibility Committee for the Society. I have a 30-year background in transportation planning, so this is very familiar to me. What we're missing here is an alternatives analysis. Liz has one alignment. In all the years that I've done studies, there has never been just one alignment. There's always various alignments. So that is missing in the planning process, probably will be picked up, but that's what I'm recommending. So one of those alignments is Road A, and that would be an accessible trail on Road A. The concept would be, and because you have a gravel road with, so an accessible trail needs 4 inches of gravel and then 2 inches of either asphalt, concrete, or compressed fine gravels. So it's an affordable or a cost-effective alignment. And I'm hoping that it gets included in the study of the accessible trails. But I think it precludes and should be the agreement to open the road should be delayed until that analysis is done. The Disability Advisory Commission put together a wonderful motion, and in that motion, they're recommending additional planning along with the delay of opening the road. So again, thank you. I lead birding trips. I cannot lead any birding trips on the American River, so I love the idea of accessible trails. I know as it goes forward, there'll be additional alternatives, but opening the road A now is premature. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, my name is Alan Friedman. I live in Fair Oaks. I was the Chief Information Officer for California State Parks for 12 years, so I know a little bit about park operations. I appreciate your comment about being respectful, and especially in terms of limiting our comments today, but I need to tell you from a procedural standpoint that this process really hasn't been respectful. You just heard, you got 2 minutes with Bruce Foreman and 2 minutes with Paul Miller, and the Disability Advisory Committee gave them each 15 minutes because those guys have a hell of a lot to say. They are incredibly talented, particularly in the area of accessibility, and you guys were denied an opportunity. The director didn't really give you a good overview of what they propose, and so you've been denied an opportunity to really hear other alternatives to the plan that has been proposed by regional parks. So I would hope that you would take the time to do a more thorough job. Call these gentlemen back and get a better briefing on other alternative plans for accessibility access at Sailor Bar. I have a lot of comments about the issue of the health, the safety issues related to Road A, because regional staff, your regional park staff has cherry-picked data from the reports and presented that as evidence that it's safe to walk down Road A when cars are going to be creating dust clouds. I actually brought some dust masks. I'll give the commission a set of 5 because if you open up the road, you are going to be exposed to dust. And it doesn't matter if the dust doesn't include mercury. It doesn't matter if the dust doesn't include asbestos. Dust is incredibly dangerous. Lots of people in Sacramento have asthma. They have respiratory conditions. Any amount of dust doesn't help the respiratory system. And so you're concerned about the safety of those stairs at the flagpole. The dust that everyone will breathe if cars are allowed down that road is going to be much more harmful to much more people. I'll talk more about that.
Thank you.
We have Jody King. It says Sailor Bar, and I think there was a 3 and then maybe a 7, but there is no 7. So I don't know if she wants to also speak on 5.
I didn't know what number to write.
Okay. Do you want to speak on 5 as on the other Sailor Bar item as well?
I'm going to speak on Sailor Bar.
Right, but there's 2 separate items regarding Sailor Bar. Do you want to speak on both of them, or you only speak on this one?
I'm going to speak
On both? Okay. We'll just put you on both. That's fine. And Mark Berry and Brenda Gustin will be the last 2. Those are the last 2 after this.
Thank you, park commissioners, and thank you, Liz, for wanting to do accessible trails. We the people, who are 6,000 petitioners and community organizations, including Trout Unlimited, Granite Bay Flycatchers, Sierra Club Sacramento, Sacramento Audubon Society, California Council for the Blind, Sacramento County Disability Commission, Save the American River Association, the American River Parkway Volunteer Equestrian Patrol, Backcountry Horsemen of Public Lands and Mother Lode, and now Family Free Ride, strive to keep public motor vehicles out of the interior of Sailor Bar. Our expressed concerns, in summary, you will have heard more of and have heard today include risk of fires, criminal activity, unsafe recreational use for persons with disabilities, equestrian riders, and dog walkers, and more. Unhealthy conditions, noncompliance with the American River Parkway Plan, disruption of wildlife, diminishing a quality experience in nature and other concerns. Given that there has not been any consequential impact expressed for keeping public motor vehicles out of the interior of Sailor Bar, nor has there any public support for allowing public motor vehicles into the interior of Sailor Bar, we respectfully assert the will of the people to, 1, permanently keep the interior of Sailor Bar free from public motor vehicles, and 2, adopt the recommendation put forth by the Disability Advisory Commission as submitted.
Hello, good evening. My name is Mark Berry, and I'm a member of the American River Parkway Advisory Committee, or RPAC. On February 7th, during the RPAC meeting, the Sailor Bar ADA concept plan was presented, and despite a lack of a quorum, the meeting continued. And the primary concern raised was the proposed vehicular access to the River West parking lot via what I guess is called Gravel Road A. Now, the parking area design, as we could tell from that, was one designated ADA stall, and the gravel road opening is a prerequisite for that car park to be accessible by all sorts of other vehicles. Now, the claim that the gravel road at Sailor Bar has been closed to access since 29 is a mischaracterization. In reality, the roads have remained open for recreational use, while being free from the hazards and disruptions of vehicular traffic. Now, in looking at this plan, a key contradiction of this concept plan is that the very community purported to benefit from the road opening, people with disability, have voiced opposition to the plan because they want a natural experience without cars. The Disability Advisory Committee explicitly stated that they want to continue the closure of all the existing vehicular roads in Sailor Bar that are proposed to be reopened, and number 2, prepare in consultation with Friends of Sailor Bar a comprehensive evaluation of the concept plan. So it is clear that the individuals with disabilities prefer an alternative that does not involve the introduction of vehicular traffic, which would degrade the park natural experience for them. So what is access? Access in the natural parkway. That's what they want, not just a parking lot next to the river. So, I urge the commission to reject the portion of the Sailor Bar ADA concept plan that, in order to be feasible, requires the opening of a gravel road to vehicular traffic, and pursue a more inclusive plan that takes into account the Disability Advisory Committee's concerns with the more natural experience. Thank you very much.
And I do have one that was turned in after I said we only had 2 more.
How do I do this?
Oh. Yeah, set it down. There you go.
Okay. I'll try to do this two-handed thing. Put my other one down. Hi. I'm a native of Sacramento, and 6,000 people are in favor of enhancing accessibility, yet stand strong with evidence that the health and safety of all, including wildlife and the habitat, is being disregarded. The very people espoused to be recipients of ADA improvements are clearly voicing how they can be properly served, which does not include the reopening of this gravel road to vehicles. There's no research evidence presented that increased vehicular access is needed or even requested, and in fact, the opposite is true. The voice of people throughout Sacramento County and those who visit from other places strongly oppose their reopening to protect this wildlife sanctuary. This is not a neighborhood issue. The agenda packet presented to the American River Parkway Advisory Committee on February 7th was incomplete, and without a quorum present, no insights or advisory comments have been provided. Integral information of public outcry was absent. More comprehensive information was provided for you tonight. It was stated that reopening of Gravel Road A to vehicular traffic has nothing to do with the recommended ADA improvements. This is illogical. Public vehicles on this road threaten the wildlife sanctuary that cuts through the heart of this corridor and is scheduled for immediate reopening, even though the public has created professional plans to increase access without opening gravel roads for vehicles. The RPAC deserves to receive the complete picture of the effects these recommendations will cause and weigh in before any decisions are made. Since 2008, enjoyment by visitors has increased with safe and positive experiences. Families now walk on the gravel roads with strollers and young children, and elders or people with disabilities safely walk without being pushed aside by vehicles. As stewards for our parks, please vote to oppose this concept. Send it back for further refinement. Let's create greater access and enhance the joy at Sailor Bar. Thank you.
My apologies, I'm not sure whoever the last person was that turned it in. I can't read their hand. I'm not sure what the name is. My apologies. Okay.
Go ahead and introduce yourself and then help do the next one after. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Ana Sanchez. I am and I need to tell you this because I'm a family and psychiatry nurse practitioner. So I get the ones that get hit by cars and the ones who need to walk for depression and anxiety, COPD. The big thing is this is cheap. Walk is cheap. You don't need anything. I am old and I walk and I see a lot of people my age walking. They don't go to the gym. When I see patients, when I see people walking, I go, yes, because so many things are being taken away from us. I'm not American, and I love this, where we can say how we feel. I don't think cars need to be there. So many kids are around there, so many animals. No, there's no noise. People can just walk for free. Don't take these away from us. So many things are being taken away from us. Let us walk in peace.
And Lisa Fields, I think I put her in the wrong pile. I put her in the 5 pile, so.
I'm in both piles, so we're good.
Okay.
But I did want to go last, so this works out well. Thank you. Okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Fields, speaking to you as a member of Friends of Sailor Bar. I'm also a professional biologist who has over 10 years of experience working as part of the planning team on ADA projects. And I wanted to start by, so therefore I really support ADA access and improving people that have disabilities that don't require ADA access to get out to the parks. But like everybody else, I'm really concerned about how this is progressing. And honestly, I'm tired of all the misleading statements that we're getting. I'm sorry, Ms. Bellis, but you've been conflating a lot of things and twisting a lot of the information. In her report, she talked about how the DAC had a measure to approve the plan. What she didn't clarify is that the measure was to keep the gates closed until things were determined and to consider both the county's plan as well as the plan that Bruce and Paul presented. And so with that and said that and I wanted to continue with not, as this previous speaker said, not all disabilities are visible and not all disabilities require ADA access. There's a lot of people that are using the existing roads as trails just because they have limited abilities. And with that said, I really support keeping the gates, the vehicle gates closed while this is resolved, and making sure that this gate here at the end of the River West parking, it remains open. I've emailed you multiple times to get that gate opened. It is locked again. And it's an interior, a lot of people have talked about, we can do all sorts of great loops, One of the things I do is I walk this a lot with a friend. She can't be here tonight because she has 2 young children. She's home with them, but we go out there with her kids in a stroller, get them into nature. They don't have their electronics with them. They're doing exactly what we want. We go all the way out here, come back 3/4 of the way through, we get here, there's a locked gate, and we can't get past it with the stroller because there's no way to get around if you have any limited access, because you're picturing it. There is a huge berm that goes around there. So all of these roads, they don't meet ADA access, but they do serve a lot of people with limited abilities. And, I lost my time, sorry.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yes, one more thing. 1 ADA stall is required for that parking lot. So you're going to take all of this away for 1 ADA parking stall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's my understanding that that concludes public comment on this item. So I'm going to ask my fellow commissioners, would anybody like to speak on the item or discuss?
I'll just say quickly, because I think we should comment on the work that you've done. I thank you for all the comments. There's a lot of interest around the ADA. This is a conceptual plan right now. We all know that conceptual plans are just that. They're conceptual plans. They can change in many, many different ways, and input from the community is always good for that. So, thank you for your input, and we'll move on to the next thing, I guess. So, thanks, Becky. So, Madam Chair, I just want to understand how we're handling this, right? We're being asked to vote on item 3, which is the ADA conceptual plan, which, as I understand it, relies essentially on the opening of that gravel road, but then we have a separate
Point of order.
May I just finish?
Point of order.
Yeah.
You are not asked to vote on this item. You are asked to provide your input and feedback and approval of the concept in your remarks, meaning just what Commissioner Hambrook stated, that he approves the concept of an ADA trail and looks forward to future iterations and as the process evolves.
May I want to make sure, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I'm understanding what I'm being asked to do here. Am I endorsing the plan that county parks staff put in this binder, or am I endorsing the general concept of ADA access at Sailor Bar? Those are two different things, and I want to know what I'm being asked to assent to at this meeting.
You are asked to endorse the concept of an ADA trail, not necessarily this plan, but provide your feedback and input on the plan that was presented.
And clarification, there's no vote tonight? Hold on, guys, I'm trying to get clarification. Am I being asked to vote on any specific item tonight?
The action summary is the only action item that is on your agenda tonight.
Okay.
I think I can provide some clarity. They're receiving our input. So do we like the idea of the plan? Do we have any recommendations for alterations of the plan? It's not a set plan, so it'll go through several more processes in the. Let me go first and see if that helps. Does that sound okay?
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as a whole concept, I'm very excited about the idea that we're looking for ways to provide more access to Sailor Bar. I've only been out there a couple of times. I really enjoyed it, and I do hear what's being said. I hear concerns about some noise violation. I hear concerns about limiting the loop that is an option for equestrian bikes, wheelchair users. I see that there's kind of competing desires here, but I think that on a conceptual level, bringing more ADA access to that site, and I'm excited about I wrote the name of it right here, the Right to Hear program. I think those things sound fantastic. My feedback is that I would love to see some more investigation into the alternate analysis, the alternate I wrote down alternative analysis to the plan that turns Road A into a multi-use wide road that would provide ideally accessibility, equestrian and pedestrian and bicycle use. I understand that it's historically been used as a road, and I really appreciate the fact that the Park Planning Department has made multiple adjustments already to this plan. For example, you've made plans to protect some bird habitats. You've made sure that there wasn't any through access to create traffic. So I just want to appreciate the work that you've done. Thank everybody for their feedback. I learned a lot listening. I know I kept it to 2 minutes, but I don't want just the experts to override the people. I want to hear from everybody, and I believe that I did hear from you. And so my personal advice is to continue to visit some alternate options for Road A, with that consideration out there, I really do support your efforts to create ADA access, and I appreciate everybody's effort in continuing to take feedback and keep working through this. Thank you for your work. And then do you want to comment, kind of, does that understand what I think should?
Thank you. I want to, I'm trying to get there, folks. I want to, we're in a difficult situation from my perspective because of the structure of the agenda. So I'm not loving this. So what I'd like to ask you is there going to be a presentation on item 5, and will there be additional public comment?
A whole nother number.
So and we're not being asked to vote on anything on item 3?
We're just asked to give feedback on, what do you think of the ADA plan? And for the most part, it's great. There's a little bit of a concern with it, but so much of it is great. And so, yeah. So that's
great. So then I would like to give conceptual feedback. Hold on. This is for the members of the commission. Just let us work through this, please. So conceptual feedback on the ADA plan. So I was out there this morning. I hiked every one of these this morning. I maybe saw some of you out there. It would be desirable for additional ADA access out there. I think there's a reasonable concern raised by members of the committee, and I think in my own experience, my feedback is to return that gravel road to autos for the purpose of getting one ADA space all the way down by the river. I understand that concern. So I have additional concerns about item 5 that are not addressed here, but I do understand that concern about whether how that loop is completed if that road is open to vehicular traffic. So I do understand. So my feedback to staff is I do understand that concern. I didn't hear much comment about the proposed loops that county staff proposed, and I wondered if anyone had thoughts about the actual trails that were proposed that we wanted to put on the record. We didn't really hear any comment about the loops that were proposed, with the exception of Road A, setting aside Road A.
So you're talking about that additional loop that comes around. Can we put the picture back up for a second?
I apologize. Bruce did talk about that. Thank you.
Can I add something to that?
This unfortunately, this is not a back and forth
apologize.
discussion yet, but.
There was a question asked just now. I wasn't sure if it was rhetorical or specific.
Oh, okay. Do you want to ask him? That's okay.
If anyone has, I do understand there's an alternate proposal. I did review it. I didn't hear, if any member of the public had comment about the loops county staff proposed that were supposed to be ADA accessible loops, I would love to hear a minute of comment about that.
Okay, we're gonna ask you to come up for one more minute, please. Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Okay, and specifically to address the ADA loop that we're talking about. Thank you.
All right.
Chair, I would ask that.
Yes, I've looked at and I've walked the small ADA loop that the county has proposed. My assessment from having done trail planning for the Department of Fish and Wildlife, it's a very inferior trail. Yes, you can call it accessible, and then maybe a lot of people are going to be happy. Walk the trail. It's very spindly willows, and you're within a short distance from that parking lot. You're going to hear cars most of the time you're on that trail. The trail is a monoculture of willows. I've walked it. You're not going to get much diversity of wildlife. It's only there because the parking lot is there. It's not a good place for a trail. It's really close to the parking lot, so let's do it there and call it accessible, and everyone will be happy. No, you look at what would be really good for a quality recreational experience and where that would be placed with low impact upon the environment. That is not the place I would put it there. That's 1 minute, okay?
Thank you.
Chair, if the speaker would like his name recorded, we don't know who he is. If you would like to have his name recorded. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Do you have more questions? And do you have more feedback or comments? You're on still.
Will there, the way this agenda is structured, will there be an opportunity for public comments and commissioner comments on item 5? Okay, then I'll hold my comments to item 5.
Okay, commissioners, is there any more feedback to provide? Go ahead. So Dan, we'll let Dan go.
Not the first time I've been turned off by a microphone. First off, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Truly, whenever people show up, it's an exciting issue, and it shows, democracy in action, and I just love to see it in action. Thanks staff for coming up with this substantial document for us to read and understand. But from my understanding is we're supposed to talk about what we like about this conceptual plan. We're not going to vote on the conceptual plan. Okay, so approval to me is sort of an odd word because it implies that you're saying, yeah, I like it. But I've never heard of an item, and I've been here 20-something years, where it said conceptually talk about this. But I understand, okay, I'm going to just cross out by saying the word approval because that's confusing a lot of people. So we're just talking about this plan. And in talking about this, been out there, gorgeous place. And specifically, the little trail, the one going by the river, marked up in, what is that, green and yellow? Trail 2. That needs to be, I think should be reworked or figured out, maybe a better place, something, because I'm hearing it's not the best place for it. There could be, perhaps there's better places. And so I'd say, hey, let's check that out, see what else we can come up with. And that's my done talking.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I think this is, we're at the beginning of developing ADA access, it sounds like, throughout the parkway. And I think that's wonderful. I think walking along the river is something that people have already talked about is a calming thing. Being that way, I think I have also walked that trail. Is it perfect? No. Can it be made better? Yes. I think that putting people, that have a little harder time getting around close to the river it's going to be calming to them, just as everybody says it's calming to you as you're next to the river. So I do like that loop or that trail. I do like the loop for somebody who wants a little further walk or however they want to get out there. I see that it's basically separate from Road A. We're going to talk about Road A in more detail. I don't think it's dependent on Road A. I think the ADA concept can be done, with or without Road A. And so I'm strongly for the concept here. I'm strongly for ADA access to other locations. We've already heard another one down in the city of Sacramento. And it sounds like we'll probably see 2, 3, 4 more coming in the next couple of years. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. I'm pretty healthy today. My knees are holding out. They're probably good for another 20 years, and then that's going to be about the end of it. But sorry for the levity, or lack of. But in any event, I want to see this continue on, and let's pick the best place
and work with our, with our community, disabled and otherwise, to make this happen. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
I guess I have one more question. As I have walked it, there initially this entire road, the one closer to the river, was open to all the way driving through. Is that correct? With parking spaces, or was it the next one up that I'm thinking of? Sorry.
I guess I would like some more clarification by what you mean by that.
Initially, 10, 15 years ago, you were able to drive from both of the current entrances to Sailor Bar.
Yes, there were gravel roads that were public roads that were available for people to drive on from both the Olive side and the Illinois side. There are 2 gravel roads on the Illinois side, and then there was one that went into the interior from the Olive access.
And at that time, and the initial plan that we brought had 3 different accesses. We never discussed an all the way through plan. But as we're discussing the ADA plan, I guess if Trail 2 is built, Trail 3 is still a viable trail, and that's what, right? With or without Road A. So the trails, so when we're talking about ADA access and if we're focusing on trails 1, 2, and 3, my understanding is that all those trails provide access as is if we just sort of ignore the roads or we just look at the existing roads.
Is your question, could the ADA trail be built without the gravel road?
Yes.
The answer to that is yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Do you need any more feedback from us?
No, I appreciate your feedback, and I appreciate the feedback from the community.
Okay. So I think we're going to move on to the next item. And again, we appreciate everyone's feedback. If you stick around, there's more discussion about this area coming up in a moment. Okay, action item number 4 is the approval of the January 23rd regular meeting action summary. And I do have a change to that. I don't have it right in front of me, but I know that the meeting schedule was altered slightly because we decided to move the November meeting into early December. So if somebody can save me and tell me what that portion was, and maybe we just changed that to that we approved the schedule as amended. Help me out.
I'd make that motion.
Okay, could you make, yeah.
I'd move that we approve the action summary from the January 23rd, 2025 meeting. The amendment I would make was to amend item 3 to indicate that we moved one of the meetings, so it was approved as amended. Is that what you're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Take a vote.
Point of order, Chairperson, you can call the vote.
Oh, all right. We just do all vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes.
And Chair, we'll do the research, find out what the exact date was.
Okay,
make sure
thank
that's
you.
corrected. Yep.
Thanks. Do we have any action items for the fishing game? No?
We do not.
And we have no discussion items?
We do not.
Items, information items orally? And we move on to information items written, which is item number 5.
Nope, it is now.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and leave this map up just so people have a map to use as a visual. The other item on tonight's agenda related to Sailor Bar is a receive and file report on the reopening of gravel roads of Sailor Bar. Last year, the department presented a report to the Recreation Park Commission, which outlined the deferred maintenance work completed and planned, as well as a plan to reopen all informal roads within Sailor Bar at both the Olive and Illinois accesses, consistent with the board-adopted Sailor Bar area plan in the American River Parkway Plan. Following this meeting, staff were informed that the Friends of Sailor Bar had retained legal counsel. Regional Parks have corresponded and met with Friends of Sailor Bar and their counsel on several occasions since that time. The gravel roads originally proposed to reopen are identified for such use in the American River Parkway Plan. And although this action would not usually require environmental review pursuant to CEQA, county staff conducted CEQA review to ensure that none of the triggers requiring supplemental or subsequent review would occur. County staff prepared a CEQA addendum to the American River Parkway Plan Update Environmental Impact Report, and this addendum is included as attachment 2 to this receive and file report. County planning and county council are present tonight to address any questions from commission members. In addition, we have received a response letter from Friends of Sailor Bar Council on this environmental review. This was emailed directly to your commission members. If you did not receive it, please let me know. We will ensure that you get a copy. And Planning and Environmental Review staff have prepared a response letter to this, which was provided to your commission tonight. These unimproved gravel roads, which have existed and been in use since the 1970s, were closed when there were drastic reductions to the park's staffing levels. Since that time, the Board of Supervisors have made several augmentations to the maintenance and ranger staff for regional parks. Staffing augmentations have taken place over the last few budget years, and having a greater staffing level allows us to complete many of our deferred maintenance projects, operate at a higher maintenance level, and better patrol our parks, including addressing impacts of homeless encampments. The 2008 Parkway Plan update involved extensive public outreach and community input, which took place over several years. During this process, the narrative for the Sailor Bar area plan was updated to remove the caretaker facilities, the placement of an interpretive center, corporation yard, and several formerly turfed picnic areas to what is present now, which does not include the caretaker facilities or any of the other items listed earlier, and also has a reduced number of turfed areas. What did remain consistent was the approved use of the gravel roads and the informal parking areas. Regional Parks originally intended to reopen both the Olive access and the Illinois Avenue access to the public, the gravel roads. The addendum provided therefore analyzes the reopening of all of these access roads from both entry points. Acknowledging and taking into consideration concerns expressed by the Friends of Sailor Bar Group and other members of the public last year, we are only opening one gravel access road at Illinois Avenue, and will keep the westerly gravel roads located off Olive Avenue closed to vehicular traffic except for maintenance and law enforcement. Gravel Road A is the road we intend to reopen. It is approximately 0.35 miles in length and includes access to the River West parking area. The remaining gravel roads, totaling approximately 2.93 miles in length, will remain closed to vehicular traffic, again, except for maintenance and emergency vehicles. This gravel road is an important means for persons with limited mobility to be able to access the river for walking, fishing, and enjoyment of the river. Unfortunately, not everyone is as able-bodied as to park in the upper parking areas and walk the distance to the river. It is not intended at this moment as a trail, but rather as a means for people to have better access to the river and the walking trails that exist. Speed limit signs will be placed along the gravel road with speed limitations lower than typical park roads. As with all our park facilities, regional parks will patrol and monitor this area and address issues which may arise. A gate will be installed to prevent vehicles entering the gravel road to the east of Gravel Road A. So, right here. That gravel road leads to a rookery as well as bedrock mortars. Educational signs about nesting birds, including the importance of keeping dogs on leash, will be developed and installed in this area. We will be completing the notice of determination within the next few weeks on the addendum and would open the road sometime after action is complete. So this is not an action item for the commission. However, I do know that we have public comment, and of course, if there is any comment or questions from the commission, I would ask for that now.
While you're still up there, I do have a question. The width of that road, would it allow for cars and equestrian use simultaneously, safely?
The widest part of the road is about 34 feet, and the narrowest part of the road that we measured today was about 27.
So if a horse was walking one way, a car was driving another way, is that generally a safe situation? So I'm asking Liz, that will it be closed for equestrian use because of the vehicles?
So currently, let me get another exhibit for you, just one moment.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe the expanded question is that road designated for equestrian use, or is it just informally used by equestrians because of the current closed condition?
Correct. And attachment 5 to the previous report item is this higher definition map from the American River Parkway Plan. And as you can see here, the equestrian trail portion of Gravel Road A is this section from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
The remaining section of Gravel Road A is not a part of the equestrian or hiking trail.
Can equestrian, is the trail, I'm sorry, further from the river, that's equestrian accessible as well?
Could you be a little more specific, please?
Okay, we have two sort of trails, two kind of longer trails going from the two parking lots. The one further from the river is equestrian accessible all the way through, is that correct? Yeah, just put your finger, yeah.
You can try this.
Guess. I'm sorry.
Becky, why don't you see if you can?
Okay, try that.
I don't want to point out what you're not talking about, so if you
I gotcha. What do I do with this?
Just press the little button on top.
Or Commissioner Hertz, if you like to come down here and point out
I
on
got
this
it to
map.
work sort of, no. Oh my gosh.
It might not be visible.
I think it is. I think I can see that there's the horses up there.
If you would like to come down here and point on the map, that would possibly be helpful, because I want to make sure I'm answering your question appropriately.
My eyes are, this is equestrian still.
Correct, that is equestrian hiking trail.
This is not.
That is also equestrian hiking trail.
So equestrian this way, this way, this way, this will not be.
That will be equestrian trail.
That is also. This part won't be.
That part is not. The cars are actually right Here.
This is the non-equestrian, this will become non-equestrian, or isn't equestrian.
That is
Gotcha.
non-equestrian, that would be the
And
gravel.
that's the thinner portion of
That
the
would be
trail.
a portion of the gravel road that would be reopened. The other gravel road Y that leads to the bedrock mortars and the rookery is also equestrian trail. This is equestrian trail.
This part of the thicker road.
And so this is part of the gravel road and also the equestrian trail. So there's dual use right in this small section right here. No, we are not. I believe there was a question in the audience that I did want to address. They are under the misconception that we would be opening that secondary gravel road from July through December, and that was part of the original plan last year. The plan has been amended. We are only opening the one gravel road, not that one.
And how many parking spaces are at the end of the road?
That would vary on
The
how
gravel
people.
road.
That would vary on how people park because it's not a lined parking space.
Approximately?
It is it's in the report. I don't have it right.
Okay.
I don't
It's
have
okay.
it
It's okay.
memorized.
It says 24 in the report.
That is that was presented to you earlier.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have questions right now before we take public comment?
No, I'll save my comments till later. Thank you.
I will leave both of these up there for people to utilize as needed.
Thank you. I think we're ready for public comment, so we're going to keep it to 2 minutes again. Just do your best to be concise when you speak.
All right, first we have Sarah Pickering, and then after that is, I think, Kathy Sachen, S-A-C-H-E-N, maybe?
Hi, my name is Sarah Pickering Pick. I am a very frequent walker at Sailor Bar. I've been there for over 20 years walking, and I'll just speak plainly. No one wants this. It's frankly mystifying and insulting to hear Ms. Bellis and members of the commission say, this group will benefit, when no one wants this. I walk there at least once a day, often twice a day. I've spoken to every single person. I am such an annoyance. I've spoken to every single person I encounter down there. No one wants this. People who used to party down there in the 70s, they are even saying, no, it's so great now. You know, after the roads were closed, after the pedestrian paths were closed, it is now safe for families, safe for walkers. The disabled community is completely behind us. You guys have not done your outreach. How dare you say this group will benefit, this group will benefit, when Friends of Sailor Bar has done the work, has done the outreach, found an amazing community of people in the area and abroad who were saying, do not open the roads to cars. No one wants this.
After Kathy will be Charlie Solt.
Hello, I'm Kathy Sajan. I'm the vice chair of the Sacramento County Disability Advisory Commission. And I've been asked to actually read the motion that into record for all of you. So we do want to thank Liz for the presentation that she did on February 4th. It was very informative, and she was very gracious to hear everyone out. So it is the Sacramento County Disability Advisory Commission position that the Sacramento County Department of Regional Parks do the following: continue the closure of all existing maintenance and emergency vehicular roads in Sailor Bar that are proposed to be reopened
to public comprehensive evaluation of all concept plans has been performed. Number 2, prepare a consultation with Friends of Sailor Bar, a comprehensive evaluation of 2 concept plans, 2025 Sailor Bar ADA Conception Plan and Sailor Bar All Persons Trail Vision Plan. The process is to involve the assessment of the costs and benefits of each concept option, considering the factors such as feasibility, environmental impact, safety, accessibility for people with disabilities, social equity, and aesthetics. 3, solicit during the posted public comment period written input from the public in response to the draft comprehensive evaluation report. During the public comment period, it is advisable that the Department of Regional Parks also hold a public hearing to receive oral input from the community. The public comment should be part of the comprehensive evaluation report so that as to gather and use the information from the public in developing the final report. Sorry, I'm running late. Number 4, include information from the public input in the needed weighting of factors listed in number 1. Then each alternative concept plan be numerically ranked to determine a preferred plan. 5, conduct an independent evaluation of competing assistive navigation and interpretive technology, right here, and native lens, as well as good maps in the effectiveness in their use along the proposed accessible nature trails in Sailor Bar.
I'm going to have to cut you, but if there's somebody else from your organization you want to continue reading that part when they speak,
that's
they can.
okay. No, there isn't anyone here today but me. But we are in support of no vehicles being allowed in Sailor Park. Thank you.
After the speaker, we'll have Beatrice and then John Briggs.
Hi, I'm Charlie Solt. I live in Fair Oaks. I use the park regularly. Thank you for your service, sir, as a board. I know, you're all volunteers up there doing the best you can. I appreciate that. My son is blind. My adult son is blind and intellectually disabled, and we use that trail all the time. It's probably the only trail in any park in our area where he can actually walk without his cane, because I'm there with him. And he can enjoy the outdoors, and we can do that loop, and we use that loop. Every day we use that loop. If there are vehicles on that loop, we're not going to be able to use that route any longer. Or if we do, it's just not going to be the same by any means. So to suggest that this is good for ADA, it's not. It really isn't. To look at the map, though, I got to say, the thing that caught my attention is this red line. That red line right there, symbolizes blood, folks. And because if you have $200,000 to spend, fix that damn road. Make areas on the side for people to walk. There is none. It's a big curb that goes down. That would be a show of good faith that you're actually, that you're interested in the public and their safety walking down that road. I can't walk my son down that road. I will not be able to walk my son down the other road. Somebody already mentioned it. Put a trail through for the people with disabilities. That will solve this delay. Nobody wants that. People want to keep that gate closed. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beatriz. Some people think I have some type of an accent, so I'm here to speak on behalf of all the wonderful animals who make Sailor Bar their home. I want to be their voice today. They have no one to speak for them. Every week, a group of us walk at Sailor Bar, where we encounter deer, rabbits, coyotes, all type of birds, and even salmon. We are in their domain. So do we do our best to respect their habitats. Humans have a moral obligation to protect nature and our animal friends. More cars in Sailor Bar will put the beautiful creatures that live there in danger. Right now, we are doing such a good job coexisting with nature and the animals that we should keep up the good work that will be lost. So please reconsider your position and do what is best for nature, not just for people. It's always about people. What about the animals? They're not here tonight. They couldn't be here. They didn't want to be here. But we're here for them. So thank you.
After John, we have Alexis Rouchus again, and then Alan Rhodes.
My name is John Briggs. What I'm concerned about as the first issue is wildfire risk. We have a new paradigm. We're seeing urban wildfires. This is new. The reason for that is that the climate has changed, no matter what the cause. We have extended droughts, and so we have more fuel than we've ever had before. Now, Sailor Bar has a unique geology along the American River Parkway, and the Metro Fire has characterized Sailor Bar as the most severe fire risk on the parkway. And the reason for that is the bluffs. They create natural chimneys. There's ravines going up, which is going to draw fire up, and that needs to be analyzed here, and it hasn't been done. We have not heard any analysis of the impact of introducing motor vehicles back into the interior of the park in connection with fire risk. Motor vehicles are inherently risky. They start on fire, believe it or not. Fuel system failures, catalytic converters, and just overheating can cause fire. And we have a new factor, and that's e-bikes and EVs. They have battery fires that nobody's figured out how to put out. So we're going to introduce a whole new level of risk that hasn't been looked at and needs to be looked at. We also have a fuel there that's unique, and that's the gray pine. It's considered to be a ladder fuel, and what happens is the needles under the pines can ignite, the fire climbs up the trees, and they spread the embers out long distances. That winding way corridor is an urban forest. It's at risk when you consider all of these factors. So why increase the risk? A risk analysis needs to be done. The second point I want to make is I don't understand the procedure here tonight. Informational, I don't know what that means. What are you being asked to do? The first time this issue came up, it was also informational. This body has never been asked its opinion on opening the roads, and it should be. Thank you.
Chair, just so you're aware, we have about 20 more speaker cards after the two that I've already called.
Sorry. I just wanted to speak to vehicular effects on the trails. In particular, this trail up here, I rode that today. And I rode that just the other day. Your maintenance vehicles created ruts in the road that were this deep, 2 to 2.5 feet deep in several occasions, and it damaged the trail that I use up here. So that's an effect of your maintenance vehicles creating damage all along this trail up here on the bluff. The other thing is, as an American River Trail Patrol, equestrian patrol, we clean up garbage. We collected 1,600 pounds of garbage at River Bend just last year. If you bring in more vehicles, can you imagine how much garbage people would bring into that area? In addition, I have a map of, well, I took a photo of the embankment that is near the parking lot that you wish to open for ADA access. That cliff is a 15 to 20-foot drop from the top of the lookout to the water. Can you imagine how many people who are blind or in wheelchairs could go off that bluff and injure themselves? I am an EFR, CPR first aid instructor. By law, I am obligated to save these people. I don't want to do that. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Alan Rhodes, Director Bellis, Commissioners. Last Sunday, about 300 protesters, myself included, walked the wide gravel trail that has for over 15 years been off limits to automobiles. About a third of the way along, an elderly couple slowed to stop because the gentleman who has Parkinson's disease was tired. Before they turned back, I asked him whether he might have been able to walk the distance if there were benches or rest stops along the way. He replied, yes, he would like that. I believe that well-spaced benches or rest areas would allow the great majority of less able-bodied people to reach the riverbank on both forks of the road and would help preserve the environment as well. So access would be broader and include a much larger portion of the riverbank. Donors, including myself, are standing by ready to help pay for these real improvements. The wide gravel trail that Director Bellis wants to open to cars would become the only known mixed-use road in the entire American River Parkway. There is no other third-mile gravel road in the parkway that serves people, horses, and cars together. Opening this trail to cars is a poor idea. It would create unnecessary conflict between users, between cars and walkers, between cars and horses, between cars and less able-bodied people. It would degrade habitat and threaten animals. There are better alternatives. Thank you.
Next speaker is, last name is, I think, Hubacher. The first name starts with A-N-N, and then I'm not sure after that, and then John Hubacher as well will be the next after.
It's Anna Pia. It's kind of a weird name.
My apologies.
Anyway, hi, good evening, everybody. So here's my question. Why is the county ignoring the will of the voters? A predetermined, outdated plan should never outweigh the voices of the people today. Time and time again, we have raised concerns over and over and over again, and yet we really don't receive a meaningful response. There's really no explanation as to why the county refuses to align with what the voters have made clear they want. This isn't just a matter of opinion. I mean, we've heard respected organizations, the Audubon Society, Disability, Wildlife, Rescue, Sarah spoke earlier, environmental groups. Everybody has said allowing cars in Sailor Bar is inappropriate. The risks are clear. Now, as a parent, I have felt safe allowing children to explore, connect with nature here. If cars are allowed, us families, we're not going to feel that security anymore. And instead of the children discovering a love for the outdoors, children will be forced to just retreat. And losing an essential place to roam, to learn, to grow, would not be good for the future. Plan for the future, as the other gentleman said. Sailor Bar should be a sanctuary, not a parking lot. Are we really the kind of community that prioritizes convenience or money over conservation, that values cars more than quiet, that puts traffic above the well-being of families, wildlife, and future generations? I don't understand this. This decision defines who we are. So let's listen to the voters, and there's many more, and protect Sailor Bar. So can we please just keep those cars out? Yes.
That's okay.
Is this one working? My wife sets a high bar, so I'll do my best. Thanks for listening to us. I'd like to bring up one point, I think maybe that's different than anybody else has brought up. Most people want to open up for ADA and people with disabilities. I mean, of course, who wouldn't want to do that? If we open up that road, the gravel road A, to cars, I just off the top of my head can imagine you could get 100 cars in there that doesn't have somebody with disabilities. It's just going to be drivers who want to come in. So opening that road up, probably 1% are going to be disability drivers looking for this access. It doesn't serve the purpose for the whole community to open this road up to cars when a tiny proportion of them are going to be disability people. So I think that has to be analyzed and looked at clearly because I think you're missing the point here. A second thing I want to bring up is the idea of democracy. Folks, I want to hear what you guys think. You guys are public servants, you know policy, you think deeply about how to analyze the public, scientific input, thoughtful policy. We don't get access to your thoughts. I don't know what you folks are thinking or how you're evaluating. There's been 20 or 30 or 40 points that the very concerned, heartfelt, intelligent public have brought up here, and all we get is silence from you. Your comments are such that they're very superficial. Think it's a good idea, do this, do that. You don't even know what your roles are here, which to us, the public, is really confusing. I mean, I'm not trying to deprecate you, but it does seem confusing. That's how it's listening to us. I would love it if there could be a dialogue. If we could get maybe the folks here or a chosen group could sit with you guys. We have coffee, a couple of hours, go back and forth, point by point, go over it, have a dialogue, not to accuse you or ram it down your throats, but to have feedback. I mean, maybe we're screwed up in terms of what we're thinking. I'd like to know what you would counter. How would you analyze and think our viewpoints? Let's have a viewpoint, and that could be written so anybody who can't be at these meetings or this meeting could review it and look at it and understand it, to get educated about this. We have 6,000 people on the petition who don't want that road put in for cars. It's a substantial amount of public opinion. These people are thoughtful, elderly, concerned people that are looking for the welfare of everybody. And a higher level of dialogue would serve the community, serve democracy, be an example of how you guys are excellent at what your jobs are. And I'd like to recommend that, please. Thanks for listening.
So the next speaker card is actually Betsy Whelan, but she does not want to actually speak. She just wanted her opposition to item number 5 to be noted for the record. Then we have Sally. Yeah. We'll go with yes. I'm not sure. K-A-L-A-G-H. Okay. And then Alexandria Hubacher will be after her.
Thank you very much for everything you're doing. You're working for an organization that obviously has an opinion. You need to keep a job, and you also have a viewpoint. I've worked for the state, and I've also worked for school districts, and I've been put in positions where my role, according to my supervisors, was to present something. And I knew what they wanted me to present. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I gave them what they wanted. I'm just going to leave it at that. You guys, and I thank you, and you guys, thank you for your service. Who wants to be in politics today? But I back what that other gentleman said, but in a different format. you're being presented with a question that you don't even know what the question is because you're talking amongst each other saying, well, what are they asking us? What are we supposed to be telling them? What are we commenting on? Things have to be clear. We don't need double speak. You guys need a question that you can answer. You're not being, and you know, you're splitting this up into question 3 and question 5 or question 6. We would like to look at this issue and think about what's best for our community. And we do that by asking clear questions and giving presentations that are honest. Thank you.
Before we call the next person, I am going to speak for a minute just to sort of explain that we're an advisory commission, so part of our conversation is to understand what our level of authority is sometimes, and so we're not, we're here to hear your opinion, read all the opinions, offer some opinions and advice in most of these cases, and that's it's a sort of an in-between government role. We're actually here for this dialogue. So if it seems like it's not a back and forth dialogue, that's the structure of the government. But this actually is what we're here for, so that we have a place to talk about this. So I just want to be clear that we're not, you know, our time limits aren't to shut you out. Our hey, are we doing this right? Aren't because we don't care or don't understand. It's that we want to make sure that we don't overstep or overpromise. And so I know it's like government itself is confusing. It's the way that works. And I also want to point out that the last time we had this item up, where we received an update on what the plan was, and many people spoke up. I mean, Liz and her staff did hear the comments and did change the plan. So while this here is a presentation about a plan, it is the opportunity to speak up, and it is an opportunity for the staff who are here to hear what everybody's saying and to consider alternate plans. So what you're not hearing is we're not falsely promising, oh, we're going to change that, we're going to change that, but you are being heard. So I hope that I really appreciate everyone being respectful, and I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we do respect you and we do hear you. We're actually not supposed to back and forth converse with you so that we can fully hear your concepts. So I hope that helped, and we'll just move on to the next one.
We have Alexandria Hubacher. And after that, Margaret Kashuba, I think, and then Elizabeth Landsman-Smith.
Hi, I live in Fair Oaks. I have been frequenting Sailor Bar alone since I was around 15. It was a peaceful place for me to enjoy nature and walk my dogs, and there are many other young women like me who come here to walk and run on the trail that is supposed to be reopened. I would not feel safe running or walking here alone if cars were allowed to drive through the inner part of the park. It would be really easy to get abducted or something worse because this is a more isolated wilderness area going through the middle of the park. It's not open, just the general public. It would be hard to regulate any illegal activity introduced by allowing cars in an area like this. When cars were allowed on this road long ago, there were a lot of reports that I found online of illegal activities happening. Please protect us. I'm speaking on behalf of dozens of young women and a lot of people from my high school that know about this and could not be here tonight. And please keep the cars out and hear our concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Margaret Kashuba. I grew up in Sailor Bar and still spend many hours walking my dog, going for runs, and enjoying the parkway with my family and friends. If cars are allowed, as you've heard from everyone here, we will no longer be able to enjoy Sailor Bar. Residents value having a space that is peaceful and beautiful and free of the noise and pollution of vehicles. Vehicles would introduce noise, dust, trash, fumes, and oil runoff into the environment and river and threaten the safety of walkers, bikers, equestrians, and animals. The Parks Department says they have the staffing now to maintain the roads they want to open. I'd say those resources would be better spent addressing existing issues along other portions of the parkway rather than creating new ones. As commissioners, it is your duty to do what is best for your constituents and the wildlife that call the parkway home. Please do not allow the roads to be open to cars. Please request that alternative plans for accessibility be presented that would be supported by the community and all of the organizations that have been mentioned tonight. Thank you.
Warren Truitt and Jennifer Hemmen will be after.
Hi, I just have one question for the county. After the protest on Saturday, I was watching the television station reports and they had interviewed the county, and they said, and one of the interviews, county representatives said affirmatively that Road A is going to be opened on Saturday, and there hasn't even been any arrangements for accessibility yet. So I don't understand why it's going to be open Saturday, and I'm just wondering why you're even asking for input if you're planning to do it anyway. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Again, to kind of not have that back and forth, we're just going to keep going, but we can address that. Thanks.
Did Warren Truitt waive? Yes. Okay. Then Jennifer Hemmen, and then Robert Snyder, or Sidner, my apologies.
So there's a lot of things I'd like to say. I'm not going to say them now. I was asked to read something from our friend who is in a wheelchair and wasn't able to be here tonight. So I'm going to put my glasses on. I think you've heard enough that I've pointed out to you that if you are to use this to build an accessible trail, we already have an accessible trail. We already use this trail. I don't know why. No one knows why we're doing this. If it's to justify the money you spent on the parking and the improvements, we'll pay you back. We don't know why we're doing it. We have an accessible trail. You cut off access for every single user group, including people. There are alternatives. All Terrain Georgia is a nonprofit in Georgia that provides free all-terrain wheelchairs to every user in 17 state parks. It can be done here. They called and said they're willing to replicate it here in Sacramento. There are alternatives to cars. We can get people out to that view shed. We have great plans that you haven't heard described to you. We can get those out there. We can get people out there not in cars. And in that way, we all win, and you can be a hero. My friend in a wheelchair said that, I'll just sum up his last statement. He said, the position that the parkway should be open to all is a straw man argument. The parkway already is. Options for access abound for those of all abilities. And he's in a wheelchair and finds many, many places to recreate. What we and wildlife desperately need is an oasis of solitude in our hectic world. Wildlife in Sailor Bar has miraculously rebounded since the 2008 closure. The bald eagles have chosen Sailor Bar because of the serenity. You won't find them on the south side of the river due to the bike trail and the vehicular traffic. On this theme, I encourage you to ponder the following question. Where else in our county can you find the solemnity of the Sierra Nevada Desolation Wilderness simply by walking a mere 100 feet from a well-established parking lot? The answer is simple. The expanse of Sailor Bar between Illinois Avenue and Olive Avenue. Please preserve the serenity of Sailor Bar, a gem within a gem of the American River Parkway. Thank you for your consideration.
Robert Sidner? Yes.
My name is Robert Sidnor. I represent the Mother Lode Unit of Backcountry Horsemen of California. I'm also a geologist and a life member of the California Academy of Sciences. I've written a report on Sailor Bar 13 years ago. and it's posted on Google Earth. And so we've had thousands of people, read my report. One thing that is our county planners have never heard of, that right over here, the Sacramento County Road Department parked a ton of asphalt and other construction materials, and they were sued in Superior Court by an equestrian who is a tough lawyer. Sacramento County Council realized we are beyond doomed. You're going to lose in Superior Court right here. And so before it actually got into litigation and open court, the Sacramento County Road Department had to spend several weeks removing all of this toxic material to satisfy the lawsuit. And our county planner needs to put that in. This was a toxic material of asphalt. There are, speaking as a geologist and an equestrian, there's the alluvial mining at Sailor Bar used arsenic, lead, and other toxic chemicals that have been left undisturbed. Motor vehicle traffic would cause surfacing of these toxic chemicals. And folks, that is a safety hazard, a toxic safety hazard.
Thank you.
Chair is here where we still have 12 cards. Next is Cheryl Katabaugh, and then Tom. I spoke already. Okay, you had both 3 and 5 marked. And then Tom, I'm going to mispronounce your name one more time, Biglione. And then Paul Miller, and then Alan Friedman.
I don't really speak any further. I was just spoken on.
Okay. That was Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Miller.
I'm going to get tall again.
No, that's as far down as it goes, sorry.
Oh,
It says raise and lower. I didn't know how much lower it would go.
I thought it was possessed.
It could be.
Pencil out. Okay. So, Becky, as the chair of the commission, you advised Liz to prepare additional alternatives analysis. One of the alternatives is what Bruce has shown, what we've called the loop idea tonight. Another alternative the Sacramento Audubon has proposed is here. We have 2 locations that are important for people to see. It's the overview of the river. And if I can reach all the way up, it's number 4. Turtle Pond, that is the second. So right now, Liz's plan is disconnected. She connects to the overlook, but she has a separate small plan that connects to Turtle Pond. Audubon's plan includes another alternative that includes a connection all the way up to Turtle Pond.
Becky, the section of road that you were questioning as to whether it was equestrian and vehicular, which is this little blue section right here, is part of the alternatives analysis. That would include an accessible trail. That would not be able to include vehicles. So as the chair of the commission, I would recommend that you advise Liz to delay the road opening until additional alternatives analysis is completed. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Jody,
gonna take
I'm sorry.
My name's Alan Friedman. I'm going to take my 2 minutes to be a brat in public. And that is, I think you guys know what this is. I got this out of the poop bag stand at Sailor Bar. I would ask that you start putting some dust masks out if you go through and open up the road. We are going to need them. Dust is incredibly dangerous for human beings. But I'd like to go and actually talk about something else, and that is one of the principles of good recreation planning is you try to avoid conflicts between users. So I really don't understand why in this case we're making a proposal that actually creates huge conflicts between users. You have pedestrians, you have hikers, you have equestrians. Why would we want to create a situation? Your ranger staff is already overburdened with all the other requirements that it has. Why do you want your rangers to put your rangers into a situation where they're going to have to now determine does the pedestrian have right of way? If a pedestrian decides to walk in the middle of the road to avoid breathing dust, and the car behind it gets into a road rage situation, why do you want to subject your ranger staff to the types of conflicts that are going to take place? Have you polled the rangers to determine whether they really want to be in that kind of situation? Good recreational planning has you make a decision that you don't do that kind of thing. The other thing I want to say in 27 seconds is that I don't think that the regional parks has done a very good job of even considering other mitigation measures. For example, if you're hell-bent on opening up that road, maybe you should reroute the hiking trail to a different location. There are other ways to route the trail that would cost more, but it would avoid the conflicts that we don't want to have. Users come to our parks to enjoy themselves, not to be put into positions of conflicts with other people. Allowing cars on road A are going to create lots of conflicts. Your rangers are going to be put in a very tough position, and I would really strongly urge you not to do that.
Chair, Jody King, I just said Sailor Bar on top, so I'm not sure if you want to speak on this one as well. And then Mark Berry, Lisa Fields, and then Jody King again.
Just once is okay. I don't need to speak again. I just want to circle back to some of the comments that you made, Liz. One was, you said you did public outreach. So I'm wondering, when was it done and to who? Next question. You said that there's a EIR addendum done, right? Not the EI. The EIR was done almost 16 years ago, and then the addendum was done after that EIR, and the addendum said that there's no mitigation necessary. So I don't need to explain it, but our attorney, as you know, sent a memo with our technical report by a biologist saying that, in essence, the EIR addendum is fatally flawed. If anybody would like that report, email me at protectsailorbar@yahoo.com and I'll send it to you. Third thing is the issue of opening the roads to cars is not about which road to open. It's about allowing cars to come into the interior of Sailor Bar, period. And I want to know, what was it that we said that made you decide to keep one road open and not the Olive Road open? The gravel road that you intend to open is used by equestrian riders frequently. Maybe it's not officially designated as it, but it's used as part of a loop for equestrian riders, for hikers, for dog walkers, for people with disabilities. It's essential that cars be kept out of the interior of Sailor Bar. Thank you.
Can I ask how many more speakers we have? I'm just considering a 5-minute recess.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
I'm going to have to take it. I'm sorry. 5-minute recess. Is that it okay? Okay. Okay, welcome back. Thank you for the momentary recess. Would you like to speak?
There's been some question about what our roles here are. And a large part of them is listening, because we listen to people, we take those comments under advisement, and then we take action. Now, this particular situation is a little bit different. The Parkway is governed by the Parkway Plan. The Parkway Plan is a law, it's a rule. It's across the street, they vote on it, and it becomes a bill. And in the Parkway Plan, certain duties and obligations are of the commission, and some are Director Bells's. Now, in this situation, we don't have that option or that opportunity to vote if a trail is open or closed or not. That's not in our jurisdiction. It's Liz's. So I want to make sure everybody understand that, because they're wondering what's happening. I'm coming here, I'm telling these people this is what we want, and they're not agreeing, they're not doing anything. It's because we can't. Well, there's no vote for us to make. Correct? Okay. Thanks. Got that off my chest.
Okay, well, we don't have a back and forth conversation, so we're
Ask
going to
me
go
later.
on. We're going to go on with the speakers. So the next public comment.
So we have Leza Wetzel, W-H-E-T-Z-E-L. She didn't want to speak. She just wanted her opposition noted for the record. Next is Mark Berry, and I have Lisa Fields.
Yeah, I think to just note my opposition for the record for opening the roads. It's premature to open the roads. That's good enough.
Are you Mark Berry?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just let me be up. Before my time starts, can I answer your question on the size of the parking lot?
We can't hear you.
Okay,
That's
just
not my fault. Is that on now? Can you turn it on? Did I start it on?
Yeah, we've been turning it on and off. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
It's
Now?
on. Yes.
Okay, as before my 2 minutes start, may I answer your question about the size of the parking lot? So that said, I don't know the exact size, but by ADA regulations, 25 spaces or less equals one ADA parking spot. 26 more, you start getting into 2 and more. So while we don't know the exact number, clearly they've determined that it's 25 or less to equal one ADA parking stall. Okay. Now my points. Still have a lot to say, I do, but stick to a few points. I didn't talk fast. I do appreciate what has been done listening to us in not including Olive Avenue or the other side. Do want all of the roads to stay closed to cars and to be consistent with the map that is on the county website. If you go to Sailor Bar on the county website, it shows the current condition. So with that, I would hope that you would advise the county to do an area plan map amendment to memorialize the fact that these are trails and not roads open to vehicles. With that, with the parkway plan, that change in use protocol needs to be followed. These have been, if the roads are going to be opened. We don't want them open. I don't want to trigger that, but they've been closed for 15 years. What exactly is a change in use if not 15 years? Then to bring it together on how this fits into the entirety of the county, I want to make sure that you're aware that the County Climate Action Plan from 2024 says that the county must reduce the number of vehicle miles traveled and the number of vehicle trips by county vehicles in order to help meet the targets of reducing greenhouse gas emissions within the county. That 0.35 mile length, just for opening and closing the gates, will equal 255 miles of road traveled per year just for a ranger or other vehicle to drive down, make sure nobody's there, drive back, lock the gate. Also about 30 hours of idling because they're going to idle while they open and close that gate. Then the American River Parkway Natural Resources Management Plan, within that they did a 2018 survey and asked park users what they wanted to see. 68% wanted to see bathrooms, 45% walking and hiking trails, 28% informational and educational signage. Nowhere in there did it say that they wanted to see more vehicle use. And finally, with all of that, I've chosen not to renew my Parks Pass because I can't support what's being done on the Parkway. Thank you very much.
We have Etta Caraballo, and then Tana Simons, and then Lowe's Vanden Bigelar.
Thank you. My name is Eda Caraballo, and I am a resident of Fair Oaks. And in all due respect to the commissioners, although the item number 3 earlier was a simple presentation, the fact that it was presented as a conceptual approval and one of the commissioners just said, yes, go ahead, where other commissioners said, no, I don't like this. I would request, just to go on record and recommend that as a body of commissioners, some statement be put in the record, because it is unfair to us as giving public action, public comment, to have such a split among the commissioning body on whether one commissioner said, oh, we can scratch out the word approval. Still, this informational item on Sailor Bar gravel roads is part of that concept. And we are urging you to not open any of the roads. And one of the roads is under that concept to, yes, we're opening it. So for our, or at least my presentation here, my comment is to be clear as to how these minutes are going to be presented to the county or to whichever body is going to make the final decision. And I urge you, no cars. It doesn't work. Absolutely does not work. Thank you very much for listening.
Tana Simons. Would it be easier to bring a microphone to you?
Pardon?
Do you want me to bring a microphone to you? Okay.
Okay. Well, my name's Tana. I live in Fair Oaks, and I guess I see that I'm disabled. Now you're graveling the roads. How am I going to push my ride through the gravel? A lot of times, I don't usually have to have that, but I have bad days and good days, and I use hiking poles when I'm at Sailor Bar. And as Alexa from the equestrian said, the roads are 24 feet, the trails are 24 feet wide. Now, cars are 5 to 6 feet wide. Trucks are 6 to 7 feet wide. Now, I don't know, you say vehicles, so buses are 6 to 10 feet wide, RVs are 8 feet plus, and SUVs are 6 to 7 feet wide. You're opening that up to people on ATVs and motorcycles. How the heck am I going to be able to get out of the way? Now, if a very couple of large vehicles are coming at the same time in opposition, where are we all going to go, especially if there are people on the, with dogs and kids, strollers, and me with my walker on this side? There's those iron cables. That's going to be hard. The second thing is the dust, and that's not just about people or animals. Does anybody here have ever taken botany? Do you know what transpiration and photosynthesis are? Okay, so the dust comes up to the bottom of the leaves, and it keeps the leaves from having any respiration. And if you put the dust on the top of the leaves, and that's sure going to happen with vehicles, you're not going to get them to be able to photosynthesis and make their food. So 15 years ago or more, I was in Sailor Bar. It was a mess, and all the trees and plants were winning, but they're doing so much better now. Please keep those gates closed. Thank you.
Lowe's, Vanden Bigler.
Hello, my name is Loes van den Begelaar. I'm standing here as an equestrian. There's two items I would like to bring up. One is a non-equestrian necessarily, is the Veterans Memorial flag, which should not be removed as it was placed by the Boy Scout troop. It would need the approval of the Golden Empire Council, but also should be consulted with the Lieutenant Stephen Moore's family. Second item I want to bring up is the cables, the edges of the cable joiners that have very sharp edges. It's on the side of the trails, very dangerous for horses. If they get stuck in that, you can only imagine the injury and the results of that. So that needs to be taken care of. The other thing I want to bring up, so I go to Sailor Bar. I think this thing is off me. Oh no. I go to Sailor Bar with my horse because it's one of the only places I can go. I have a Mustang that is coming new from the BLM out of Nevada. This horse is not used to sounds of cars, ATVs, or motorcycles. So this horse cannot be together on the road with those vehicles. What's going to happen is this horse is going to spook tremendously, and if the horse spooks, it's not only dangerous for the equestrian; it's dangerous for everybody around it. And so at this point, I won't be able to use those trills because you can say like, okay, there's some equestrian trills. There's there's a road that needs to be shared with the cars to get to the trailer and to the parking lot. So there will be a lot of equestrians that cannot use these trills anymore. So instead of like saying that you're making this more accessible to certain groups, you are going to take a lot of other groups out, equestrians, but also children that are walking there. So you're leaving a lot of people out at this point. Thank you.
Brenda Gustine, and then Sandy, I think Shulev, and then maybe Andrew, and those are the three.
Hi again. It's stated that opening Road A will not result in significant changes in use. We've heard tonight the inaccuracy of this assumption. The public has not yet been informed of the impetus to reopen this road. We're told it is to improve access. However, each time I am at Sailor Bar, the parking lots are fairly empty and never full. It also is contrary to reducing carbon emissions that our Parks Department wants to increase emissions in our nature area. The addendum to the American River Parkway Plan Updated Environmental Impact Report concludes that the available habitat in the project area has neither increased nor decreased due to the road closure. There's no data to support this claim, nor were habitats even described in the addendum. We are part of the environment, and therefore we require review. Population has increased since 2008. At the very least, a traffic review needs to occur. The County of Sacramento organizational chart shows citizens at the top. Therefore, we employ county parks employees. Tonight, due process was ignored when we were denied our 3 minutes. Being treated as if the county checklist and interpretations of CEQA is insufficient evidence for reopening Sailor Bar to cars. We'd like this commission to advise dialogue with citizens for whom this plan is designed to serve. That is what's needed and will help us all to improve, enhance, and preserve the only wild and scenic river that we have in our city. Thank you.
Sandy, like I said, I think the last name is Schulev, S-C-H-U-L-E-V.
So thank you for this opportunity. And I'm probably new to the political arena, but I'm an electrical engineer and I work in the water and wastewater industry. And we work in construction, and it's almost like we do similar to what you guys have taken the information that you are presented. So when I first learned about Sailor Bar, I thought, oh, you're just going to open the roads and it's going to be like it was before. I mean, it just sounds like what you would normally do. But then as I explored the area and got to know some of the people and walked with people and also walked myself around the trails, I began to understand what people felt when they're walking in the area. I've also been a tour guide up in Alaska, so I have a sense of nature. And I actually prefer to walk on the other side of the river, on the bike side, because I like the expansion of having full nature where you don't have the cars. And there's been a lot of good reasons and information why the road shouldn't be open. I mean, at least I find that in my own opinion from an engineer's point of view. I'm not clear. I've never been clear why the roads need to be reopened. Maybe that's what we all need to hear is why are the roads being open? And I'm actually really thrilled to get up here and talk. Thank you.
Andrea? Okay.
So Andrea Willie with the Waterbird Habitat Project, something that's been going on for the last year and a half because of you and you, Chief Foreman, and because of all of you. So this is particularly conflicting for me, and I come here to speak initially about the waterbirds because I care about the habitat that has been developed there over the past 15 years, and that certainly will go away if cars are allowed to go down that road. And the beginnings of the new rookery that's been there at least since 2020 and has been having babies every year. But as I've been to this and listened to all these people, it's not the birds. that comes to my mind, is this the plan that I wanted, whatever the picture that you had up? That it's just that I think, there hasn't been a real compelling reason to open the roads other than, that the maintenance staff and the funding is there, and because we have the power to do it. And I've also heard to increase access to fishing, and trust me, with the Waterbird Habitat Project, I am with anglers every day, and there is no fisherman that wants those roads open. They want to fish away from cars. And so I would just like to just take this time to say there's got to be a better way. The other idea was that, well, because it takes you down to that one little kind of spindly ADA trail, when there's been these magnificent ADA trails that have been designed by people with disabilities that I think are far superior, and we have the official organization telling us to please consider those alternatives and work with those people to make something better. And so to me, I would just say, in the face of so much opposition, how can we not listen to 6,000 voices and work together to come up with something that makes everyone happy? I just think it's possible, and I just wanted to say that.
No more public comment cards.
Okay. Let's start with my fellow commissioners. Does anyone want to start? Does anyone want to speak?
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so I'm going to say a few words, and you guys have really come together, as a group, and brought a lot of information to us. I hope you take everything I say with the respect that I believe you all deserve. My wife and I bought our house next to the Parkway 32 years ago. I've been using this Parkway when I was in college. I was riding a bike down a rickety old path. Our stomping ground is William Pond, Harrington, and Riverbend. We love that area. We pick up trash. We're volunteer sponsors. We got a bench. All that stuff. It's a huge part of our life. We're out there all the time. We're very, very protective of that area. We used to get upset when we saw a cigarette butt and then we saw a sleeping bag. So now we're not as upset with cigarette butts. We just pick them up. I understand where you guys are coming from. I get it. I hadn't been down to Sailor Bar in a long time. And when this was coming up on the agenda, I said, I got to go take some time down there. So I went from Olive and I hiked around, and I went from Illinois and I hiked around, and I walked these trails. I saw people out there with their dogs, and I was out there on a day there weren't any horses, I guess, but for several days I was out there. It's pretty, it's gorgeous, it's enjoyable. These parks were built for Sacramento. Somebody in this room said that. This park and this whole parkway was built for Sacramento. It's a regional park, and I keep falling back to this is a regional park. And 14 years ago, when these gates were closed, the region lost a part of this park, and that's too bad. And people stopped going down there. Now I understand there were people that were doing things they probably shouldn't be, but that's part of the reason they were closed in the first place, because there wasn't budget to keep the gates open and manage the park, so the gates were closed. We do have rangers now. There's maintenance personnel that can take care of the park. And there's people that want to come back to this park, I believe it, in the region. I've talked to friends. I haven't gone out to user groups or anything like that, so I can't say I've done that kind of research. But people are saying, now, where's that Sailor Bar Park? Oh, I need to go see that. It sounds really pretty. It was on the news. I was camping this week, so we watched the news on a iPhone, so we could see the events on Sunday. I mean, it's commendable. But again, I see this as a regional park, and there's approximately 3.27 miles of gravel roads in this park. 0.35 is going to be opened. And I think the parks and the parks director has negotiated in good faith to try to work with the community as well as try to open more access deeper into the park. Because as somebody else said, people don't walk very far off of parking lots. If you can get people further back into the park, they can start seeing more of the beauty in the park. So.
Okay, this is not a back and forth, so we're going to let the commissioners speak now.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my thought. I understand where you guys are coming from. The parkway plan for the American River Parkway defines what can be done and what cannot be done. And, I mean, it could have opened more of the gravel roads. That's not happening. We hope that the 0.35 happens. ADA, we'll see what happens with that down the road. But anyway, that's all I got to say for right now. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you showing me respect.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak?
You go first. Oh, please. Thanks. First, I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I know it's a big hurdle to come downtown, park, come to this meeting, sit through items that aren't your item to wait to speak. So thank you for coming out. I did want to let you know that I read all of your letters. I watched all the news clips. I really wanted to understand what's going on. I actually been out there several times. I went out there and hiked it this morning. I had a meeting that got canceled, so I went out and hiked this exact thing so I could have the map in my head. There are a couple things I want everyone to know. First is equity. A challenge we have on this commission, and I'm just going to be really candid, is the people who live immediately adjacent to the parkway feel very strongly about their little section of the parkway. So tonight it's about Sailor Bar, but a different month it's about a different park or a different park. And folks show up and they feel very strongly and they feel a sense of ownership over their little part of the parkway. I'm hearing that tonight. In this case, I don't hear some of the exclusionary things that we sometimes hear, but it comes up in little ways, right? And it's our obligation as kind of commissioners to kind of balance the needs of the people who use the park every day and live immediately adjacent with the folks who would have to drive to get into the park, right? So it's a little bit of a challenge. I just want to be aware of that, but we often hear things that are a little bit exclusionary, right? And if you're fortunate enough to live within walking distance of the parkway, just think about how many people live in Sacramento County who would have to drive to get to this parkway and how we're going to accommodate them. I think it's not a back and forth. I'm just saying, I hope you appreciate what I'm trying to say about these equity things, because it's really important that part of our job here is to balance equity. Hold on. Again, it's not a back and forth. I'm doing my best to reflect on all the comments that you all have made for a couple hours now. So if you'd let me speak, I'd appreciate it. So there's a real tension here that hasn't been well described, which is in 2008, some people got in a room and they wrote the American River Parkway Plan, and then the County Board of Supervisors put that into county law, essentially, and the state legislature put that into state law. The people who met in 2008 decided that these gravel roads should be open to cars. It is very clear in the Parkway Plan that that's what they decided. So everyone here tonight who's an advocate for Sailor Bar is saying basically, we have experienced a use that is different than the use that's outlined in the American River Parkway Plan. We like it that way, and we think the Parkway Plan was wrong and it should instead be this way. This is a tension that I deal with all the time. I think the Parkway Plan has a lot of uses that are wrong. There are a lot of uses where I'd like to see different uses than are allowed in the Parkway Plan. And every time we talk about that, not talking about the neighbors of Sailor Bar, but the other advocates, the ones who represent, the larger interests, get up and say, the Parkway Plan came down from a mountain, written in stone tablets. It is perfect. You can't make any changes to it. So I just want to acknowledge the tension. And I know Warren's gone, but I don't know if Betsy's still here. But this is a real tension. Either the Parkway Plan was a gift from God, came down on stone tablets, and it's perfect, or this commission and the board, we should all be able to adjust this as needs arise. This is a real tension, and I just want to voice it because it's really, it sits with me, right? That either people in 2008 knew exactly what they were doing and it should be locked in for all time, or we should have the ability to make adjustments as new needs arise. I want to resolve that tension. I'm not sure all the stakeholders about the Parkway want to resolve that tension, but I'm just saying it out loud. I do have a question for the county, actually, I'll make a statement. I hiked it today. I am concerned about this question about the loop, right? Can you complete the loop without dealing with cars if Road A is opened? Completing the loop makes things work. I asked a question earlier about the off-paved path bicycle project. The loop got broken because a bridge washed out, but reconnecting the loop makes it work, right? So I understand loops work, and I understand that I didn't see a way to connect that loop if that road is open to vehicular traffic except for a mixed use. I did have a question. Are bikes allowed on the gravel roads in Sailor Bar, either in the Parkway plan? When the roads were open, were they allowed? And now that the roads are informally closed, are bikes allowed?
Per the Parkway plan, bikes are limited to the approved bike trail or multi-use trail, not the gravel roads. So it is technically an illegal use.
So thank you. I think this is exactly my point. So we had a group whose name I have forgotten that has Family Free Ride that has kids on bike out in Sailor Bar, and they're an advocate of keeping these gates up because they like to ride bikes out there, but it's technically an illegal use of the gravel roads in Sailor Bar. I was out there today, and one of you was riding your bike around with a dog, kind of recruiting people to come to this meeting. So I think we really need to resolve the tension between how people are really using our parkway and what the people in 2008 wrote into the American River Parkway plan. I'm sorry, I'm a little animated about this. Thank you all for coming out to this meeting. It is a challenge that this 2008 Parkway plan doesn't give discretion to all of you. It doesn't give discretion to us. It gives a little bit of discretion to the Parks Director. This is not an item that's technically up for a vote by us tonight. I find that frustrating, but I think the best we can do for the voters, the residents of Sacramento, is give you an opportunity to come out and give you an opportunity to say what you mean. I heard it, the other commissioners heard it, the county staff heard it, KCRA was here for a while, they heard it. I think that's what we can do, and I hope that folks feel like you had the opportunity to say what you wanted to say. Thank you.
Am I permitted to allow an additional public comment? So that we start talking. Go, if you want to come do an additional public comment.
Thank you for, I really wasn't going to add anything because I was just here to say keep the roads closed. But Bill, but this discussion about the American River Parkway plan, now that is absolutely a mischaracterization of the plan, what you just outlined. You yourselves, commissioners, have been over the past year or two modifying the Parkway plan. There is a mechanism. The Parkway plan was written, if you view it through the lens of protecting the natural resources. That is the overarching intent of the Parkway plan. There are texts and policies on every page that direct you there. But it is an adaptive management plan also. So there are mechanisms to adjust the plan if, as we roll along, we discover, the public discovers even, that it's not meeting their needs. So tonight, what you could suggest an alternative. The Wood Lake, you heard the Wood Lake, the gate. They're going to do an area plan map amendment. What is on the plan and was approved in the 2008 Parkway plan did not include a bathroom. It did not include realignment of the Jedediah Smith bicycle trails, but Parks sat down. They want to implement the Wood Lake Gateway Plan, and they've discovered that these are some things they need to do so they can use the area plan map process. You could just as easily be hearing from Parks if they had done the public outreach correctly, right from the get-go, gathered all of this information in, poured it in the hopper. They could have maybe even come back to you with, we need to do an area plan map amendment, we need to relook at the trail system in Sailor Bar, and we would like to permanently close the roads to traffic. You could have done that. So there are, you can even go larger than that and go to a land use designation change. You can change, you can say protected area is now needs to be developed rec. You can go to the state legislature. Please, please understand the Parkway Plan and use it correctly. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
Now I'm talking. Okay. Thanks, Betsy. That's very interesting. I have in my notes here, we can, it's not stone tablets, it's more like the Constitution, and that has how many amendments to it? How many amendments to the Constitution are there? Come on, somebody knows. Anyway, there's a bunch, way more than 10, 20, somebody. So the point there is that we could, in some ways, amend this plan. That's a possibility. I'm just talking. But I do have a question, and I want to thank everyone for coming here. Truly, I do. But I also have a question for my staff here, is on this ADA trail that we talked about today. Do we vote on that?
No, you do not vote on that. It was a presentation.
No. Do we vote on when?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question.
Okay. So we talked about it today.
Correct.
And then you're going to go do some stuff.
Yes.
And you're going to come back.
Yes.
Do we vote then?
Yes, we would have you vote at that point in time when we're bringing revised concepts. We would bring it to the American River Parkway Advisory Committee and the Recreation Park Commission.
And eventually it ends up here. So I get to vote.
Yes.
I'm very excited about voting, as you can tell. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have no other comments at this time. There's somebody up there who wants to ask me a question. I'll come out and see you when I come out. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go. Thank you, everybody, for coming and taking the time and speaking and, loving the Parkway and loving nature and using the Parkway. I just kind of want to, discuss a couple things that I heard. I heard a lot of concern for the environment, and I do think that that one of the things that's confusing is that we're doing deferred maintenance here. So what we're being presented with is this wasn't maintained, and now we're going to return to maintenance. So the already agreed upon level of wildlife and access it's not changing the way that things were designed. Now, when we heard this a year ago, what was presented to the commission and to Liz was that, hey, there might be some new wildlife that's grown out here and that we need to consider that, and that was considered. So first, I want to just set everybody at ease, or hope to set you at ease. I don't know if I'm going to be successful at that, but that when you asked it to be reviewed again, it was reviewed again, and there were findings and there were changes made to address those findings. So that is, to me, this process, which is, long and kind of some maybe feels over-structured, and that you didn't get to say things the way you wanted to for as long as you wanted to, but it is in action and it is working. So the report that we're given here is basically an update. Hey, here's what we're doing. And you as the neighboring community, many of you live nearby, are saying, we don't really love what you're doing. Please look at these things. And they have been looked at. And the plan was modified. And so now what you're looking at is a plan to continue to move forward with a compromised vision of what was the plan last year. And exactly what's going to happen next, I don't know, and I don't get to vote on it. And I'm kind of thankful about that, because I don't exactly know what the right answer is. But this dialogue was created so that all of our voices could be heard. So on a monthly basis, we read all the information and we give our opinion. And when you come out and add to that opinion and add those ideas, I think that that's great. So we appreciate it. I think Liz appreciates it. You want to speak? Go ahead.
Thank you. I did request to speak. I wanted to reiterate what I stated at the end of my presentation, and that is that we will be completing the notice of determination within the next few weeks. There is additional work that needs to be done as far as additional gates being put in to protect the gravel road that goes to the rookery and the bedrock mortars. And the road would be reopened sometime after all of that is completed. I know that I'm hearing whisperings of, when is it opening? When is it opening? And there was a question asked, the spokesperson said it was opening on Saturday. It's not opening on Saturday. So I just wanted to restate what I stated earlier, just for clarification.
So there was apparently a misspeak to the media about the date of the opening. We don't have an official date. We're continuing to do the final phases of environmental studies. I also think that there's a vision of we're opening the road to cars, as opposed to we're opening a small portion of the road to vehicles. And historically, we're not looking at a huge volume of vehicles. So I don't visualize, I saw some great photos of people utilizing this path. I don't visualize, this becoming a highway. It's going to be an occasional car driving down. It's, and I think we also talked about the fact that there wasn't a ton of use already. Like already there's not full parking spaces and a way. So allowing one more point of access, I don't think that anybody's anticipating that this is going to turn this into a highway or something. So I don't know if I'm probably not alleviating anybody's concerns, but I think we're trying to talk about reality, and reality isn't that we're opening all the roads and we're turning it into an ATV park. But another thing. Okay, but another thing that I heard was some concern for e-bikes, and I do have that concern. It's becoming an increasing concern amongst parks in general, and whether or not we open up the road, e-bikes is going to be something that we're going to have to be aware of, be ready to deal with. It can start fires, it can scare horses, and so I heard that, and I know that we have an e-bike. I hope that we have an e-bike plan in place, or motorbikes. And is there any mitigation or any plan for that, or we just?
We have brought items to the commission in the past on e-bikes, and we will be looking to provide an update to the commission as some state laws did recently change.
Thank you. And then I just think another thing is that there's ADA has laws and has the requirement of the law, and then there's a spirit of the law, and the access is different for all different people. And so for some people, this way of some people are able to access the current roads with current, things that they, wheelchairs, walkers, different, it's going to change, and paths are going to change, and our walking paths are going to change. And I would love to see us find a way to go forward with the plan, increase access, and maintain a loop. I would like us to consider things like how, noise pollution. But I also think that it's a large enough space that we're not seeing a ton of that from our already access, and I don't know that it's going to change very much. But I'm not sure, and I can't promise. And again, I'm just here to voice what I see, just as you were. I just get to hold the microphone longer because I do it every month. The other thing that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The other thing is that what I see in this room is I see everybody that is concerned and they don't want this to happen. But what frequently happens in these situations is that people that do want to see it happen just assume it's going to happen because it was already, we're already doing the things that we do. And so while I know it feels like, this is a 99% people don't want this to happen, it's not exactly an accurate representation. Now, locally, it does seem to be that right near the river, many people don't want it to happen. But I do think that there's, and I think Chris explained it, like everybody wants to minimize the traffic and the use of the areas right near where they are, their favorite places to use. It's kind of, everybody wants their secrets to be kept, and understanding that, making sure that we have, a variety of uses in a variety of spaces. And I don't know why this keeps coming in my head, but I'm gonna say it. When I went to Tikal, there's pyramids, and what they do in Tikal, which is kind of unique, is that they uncover some of the pyramids and they leave some covered. And I don't know how exactly they choose the balance of how many that they uncover and how many they cover, but if they were all left covered and natural, we'd never see the pyramids or what was underneath them. And if they uncovered them all, we never really see how the world takes it back. And so that balance of trying to figure out how to, how natural do we want to leave the nature versus how accessible do we want to make the nature? It's a tough call, and there's no perfect answer. And I just appreciate that everyone's having a dialogue about it, even though it's a very government-formatted dialogue. It's just the way it is. I appreciate the work that Liz and her staff have done to hear that and to decide, hey, let's leave a few more pyramids excavated. And I trust that she's heard the comments here, as I know she always does. And I appreciate everybody's time, and I don't have a right answer. I don't think that I need to have a right answer. But I appreciate the process, even though I don't know that I even navigate it great. So those are my final comments. Does anyone else have any more final comments to make? So thank you for reporting to us. And do you have anything else you want to say?
No, thank you, commission members, for your input. Thank you to the public for coming out and spending several hours with us tonight. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to written information number 6, the monthly staff reports.
Did the commission members have any questions on the monthly staff reports?
We might have one. No, thank you.
No.
I think we can move on.
Okay. Director's comments is next, if you'd like me to proceed.
Please go ahead.
I would just like to make the commission aware that on Tuesday I was pleased to present a resolution to our therapeutic recreation services. because February is Therapeutic Recreation Services Month, and also if you could please, thank you. It is also the 50th anniversary of our Therapeutic Recreation Services program. We're very proud of all the work that they do, and please save the date, November 21st. We will be having some sort of a gala. We're still kind of planning it, but it will be a good time. I can guarantee you that. Every time I've ever been at a program for therapeutic recreation services, it's been a blast. Also, for future save the dates, please save the date of May 17th. That is Farm and Tractor Days for Rio Linda Alberta Historical Society. Also that morning, we will have the ribbon cutting for the Bob Bastion Memorial Trail sign. So that will be happening at 9 a.m. right before Farm and Tractor Days kicks off. So I hope that you might be able to attend that as well.
Just remember the microphones are turned off.
Can I add one thing about the therapeutic recreation? They were part of that VIP basketball tournament that took place a few weeks ago?
Yes.
I was at it for a few hours doing timekeeping. It was an awesome event. It was fantastic.
Our
was in a
staff
good mood all week.
are very involved in both Special Olympics and VIP sports, and spend enormous amount of time both working but also volunteering.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to report?
Nothing else, thank you.
All right, guys. I think with that, we get to adjourn.
Commission committee reports.
Oh, sorry.
Just in case.
Do we have any commission and committee reports?
Well, I'll just say that the Alberta folks are very excited about Tractor Days, and I talked about it at length, as well as they're having a koi show out there, and people are bringing some very expensive koi out to Alberta, to the park out there. So we'll have to go out and see those things and see what an expensive koi looks like. But anyway, that's what's going on in Dry Creek.
All right. With that, let's adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.